Chapter 2633. Half a month passed by in the blink of an eye. None of them cultivated. Some were just resting in closed-door cultivation. Dong Yang and the others tried their best to strike up a conversation with Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling. Unfortunately, Xiang Linglong was as cold as an iceberg. She stayed in a corner by herself and paid no attention to anyone. Lu Ling was the same. She would talk to Lu Li every now and then. She appeared to be polite to others, but deep down, she was cold and unapproachable. One of them was the most powerful young lady of the Flying Fire Continent, one of the 10 ancient races. She had great potential. The other one was the Pearl of the Frigid Sea area. They were the only 2 females on the list of new talents. Naturally, Dong Yang and the others wanted to pursue them. Females of the Dragon Rebel race would never marry outside the family. At first, they didn't have much hope. But Lu Ling and Lu Li were so close, which gave them hope. As far as they were concerned, they were all better than Lu Li. Lu Li was only an honorary patriarch of the Qi family, not a high-level member of the Qi family. Therefore, he had no background. As for the others, which one of them didn't come from a super family? In terms of strength, looks, and realms, they were all better than Lu Li. Therefore, the group of people were looking forward to seeing if they could make any progress in this short encounter. If they could obtain one of the 2 golden flowers, it would be a good thing for them to become famous. A fair lady was the ideal wife of a gentleman. Humans had an instinctive desire for beautiful things. Men and women also had the most primitive desire for a good spouse, not to mention that Lu Ling and Lu Ling were not only excellent. Getting them would bring them endless benefits. As a matter of fact, in the history of the Dragon Rebel race, there were females who married outside the family. It was just that those females were either taken back or driven out by the Dragon Rebel race. If Dong Yang could get Lu Ling and she followed him willingly, would the Dragon Rebel race dare to take her back? That would mean breaking ties with the Dongya family. The Dongya family was not a small family. There was a warrior of the Emperor realm in the family, a famous one at that. Of course, Dong Yang and the others had no time to think about that now. Today was the day to set off. Nobody could tell if they could survive. If they died in the den, then what was the point of getting Lu Ling? Russell, Lord Gnome walked in and swept his gaze across everyone. Seeing that everyone was in a good state of mind, he took out 10 spatial rings and handed them to everyone. He instructed, "Everyone has a detailed map inside. All the mountain peaks over there have been marked clearly, including the military distribution map of the Demon Abyss that the scouts have found. Also, everyone has a destruction divine lightning. Once this thing is detonated, its power will be extremely great, and it can kill an ordinary demon master. Therefore, if you encounter a situation of certain death, you can detonate the divine thunder of destruction. The method to detonate it is very simple. You just need to infuse it with divine power. There will be a buffer of 2 breaths, so be careful not to blow yourself up." Everyone probed it with their divine telekinesis and found that there was indeed a white cylindrical crystal. It seemed like that was the so-called divine thunder of destruction. Lord Gnome waited for a moment before asking, "Are you all ready? Let's go when you're ready." Everyone nodded to indicate that they were ready. Everyone's expression became solemn. The real battle of life and death was coming. If they were not careful, their lives would end. Everyone present was basically young, and only 2 were estimated to be a few thousand years old. Compared to their long lifespans, they were still relatively young. No one wanted to die. Although they could die for the 3rd heaven, wouldn't it be better to live? Everyone followed Lord Gnome to a castle. This should be a restricted area, as there was no one around. Everyone walked in the middle of the empty castle, and after many turns, they finally arrived outside a huge castle. There were already people outside this castle. There were 2 Fifth Tribulation elders standing there. The 2 of them bowed to Lord Gnome and nodded slightly at everyone. Lord Gnome led the group of people in. Inside was a huge hall, and in the middle of the hall, there was a huge spatial door. That spatial door had not opened yet, but it was already releasing a faint multicolored light, as well as a great divine might. Because the space over at the Demon Abyss is extremely unstable, We used very precious materials to build this spatial door. It's worth 1,000,000,000,000 divine stones." Lord Nong walked to the front of the teleportation door and introduced it. Then, he cupped his hands respectfully and said, "Furthermore, we even asked the reincarnation Heavenly Emperor to help us construct the final divine imprint for this spatial door. Thus, this teleportation opportunity is very precious. I hope that you will not waste it and give it your all. Of course, if things don't work out, you don't have to send yourselves to death. If you can come back, I hope that all of you will come back." Yes, everyone had a solemn expression. The reincarnation Heavenly Emperor had personally constructed the spatial door, which showed how important this mission was to him. If everyone went over and messed around, they would indeed be letting down the reincarnation Heavenly Emperor's efforts and letting down such a precious spatial door. 5 days ago, the army outside had already started moving. Lord Nong said in a low voice, "Right now, hundreds of millions of soldiers and countless experts in the 4 battle zones are fighting with the demon Abyss experts. Every day, there will be countless soldiers dying, and countless experts will perish. They're all trying to buy time for you. You have at most 10 days. After 10 days, regardless of whether you succeed or not, you have to retreat." Also, Lord Nong shouted out again, and his face was filled with killing aura as he said, "I hope that there will not be any internal strife over there. No matter what grudges you have, you can talk about it after you return. This mission concerns the safety of the entire third heaven. Don't let countless people die in vain because of your personal grudges. Once such a thing happens, not only will there be no reward after you return, you will also be severely punished. We will make his name go down in history." This is what the reincarnation Heavenly Emperor said himself. Understood. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. Everyone understood that this was indeed not the time for internal strife. Otherwise, they would all become sinners of the third heaven. Dong Yang added, "Don't worry, Lord Nong. We are not people who do not know the severity of the situation. We will all look at the big picture." "All right." Lord Nong nodded slightly, then bowed forward and crushed the jade talisman in his hand. He shouted in a low voice, "Great Emperor, please open the spatial door and send them over." "Great Emperor?" Everyone was shocked, and they quickly straightened their faces. The space in front of them also trembled. Following that, a man wearing a green robe with an indistinct face appeared in front of everyone. Although it was just an illusion, everyone felt that the space had frozen at this moment. There was a feeling of dark clouds pressing down on the city and making it hard to breathe. Everyone's soul was palpitating at this moment, and their teeth were chattering. Plop! Even if Lord Nong didn't say it, everyone could feel it. Dong Yang was the first to kneel on one knee. Everyone followed suit and shouted in a low voice, "Greetings to the great Emperor." That's right. Chapter 2634. Venomous Bee Mountain. This was just a small mountain. The top of the small mountain was barren, and the air was filled with black fog. It looked very gloomy and terrifying. If someone walked here, they would feel like they were walking in the yellow springs of hell. Buzzing, the air around the Venomous Bee Mountain began to tremble. Then a dark gate appeared. Many people came out from the gate. None of them had any chi and energy. They were like ghosts walking in the underworld. Whoosh! The 10 of them rushed out, and their spiritual wills immediately spread out like a tidal wave, probing their surroundings. Soon, they felt refreshed. There was no living being nearby. It was dead silence. They floated down like ghosts. The portal in midair disappeared. They all hid in the mountain and didn't move. They just checked around quietly to make sure they were absolutely safe. Safe. After a while, the red-haired Dong Yang stood up and said, "It's okay. There are no abyssal demon warriors within a radius of 3,000 miles. We can put our minds at ease." The group of people continued to investigate, and indeed, they did not detect any demon abyss soldiers, so they all relaxed. They had a good start. If they were not discovered now, their chances of success would be much higher. Whoosh! Right at that moment, Luli suddenly opened his eyes. He flew out like a sharp sword and covered more than 300 miles in an instant. A soft sword appeared in his hand, and he stabbed at a shaking stone. Buzzing, an invisible ripple spread out. Then Luli reached out his hand and grabbed the stone directly. The stone exploded. Luli came out with a dwarf-like stone golem in his hand. As soon as Luli moved, everyone checked with psychic power. They were all shocked by what they saw. Dong Yang was even angered. He had just said it was safe, and Luli took out an enemy scout in the blink of an eye. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Buzzing. Luli didn't kill the stone golem. He knocked it out and threw it into the heaven separation bead. Then he moved again, found another stone, and took out another stone golem. Whoosh! Luli flew back and said coldly, "Now we are safe." Luli's words were like a slap to the face. Dong Yang snorted, but he didn't say anything. The group of people looked at Luli in a different light. At the very least, Luli was better at scouting than they were. The two stone golems in Luli's hands had no breath of life. They had become one with the stone and could not be sensed. How did Luli find out? Luli's discovery was simple. Naturally, he had the trace of Tao. Luli's senses were stronger than others. The stone golem's disguise was flawless, but Luli still noticed something. Blood Fairy. Luli was not trying to show off. This was a matter of life and death for him, Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. Therefore, he did not say much. He sent Blood Fairy out at once to check underground in case there were scouts from the abyss of demons that he had not noticed. They continued to explore and even took out maps to calculate the route. After a moment, Blood Fairy made sure that nothing was amiss. Luli took out a map to study. This mission could be said to be simple, but it could also be said to be extremely difficult. The key was to arrive near the altar before the enemy discovered it. As long as they arrived near the altar, they would succeed. I have a suggestion. Dong Ying pointed to the map and said, "The locations of these 3 devils' dens are here. I suggest that we go this way. If we are not discovered, we will go together. If something happens, we will split up and move forward, or we will all move separately. Each of us will exchange a jade talisman. Whoever succeeds will crush the jade talisman. Then we will gather at Mountain Tiger and go back together. What do you think? Of course, we cannot wait at Mountain Tiger for too long. If any of us succeeds, we will wait for 3 days. If we are not here in 3 days, we will find a way to escape. What do you think?" Okay. Many agreed with Dong Yang's suggestion. Lu Li and Lu Ling had no objection. The mission was the priority. This arrangement would make it more reasonable for them to complete the mission. Otherwise, if all of them died, the mission would not be accomplished. In that case, their deaths would be in vain. After a moment of discussion, they exchanged jade talismans. Then, Dong Yang took out a black tower. He activated it, and a ray of dark light enveloped everyone. Everyone's breaths disappeared. This was a piece of artifact that could hide everyone's breaths and reduce the possibility of being discovered. This was an area occupied by the abyss of demons. Human warriors had unique breaths that could be easily sensed. For instance, when a powerful warrior from the abyss of demons was moving in an area occupied by humans, his unique breaths could be easily sensed by human warriors. Therefore, this piece of artifact was very important. It was the safest way for them to move forward. If push came to shove, they would have to break out separately. Everyone was nervous. They were checking with psychic power, not for the sake of others, but for the sake of their own lives. They were not traveling very fast. The priority was safety. They were not too far away. They had 10 days. They controlled their speed at the peak of the 4th tribulation. It was not fast, but they could arrive at the altar in 2 or 3 days at most. Luli had been using the trace of Tao to sense. Blood Fairy was wandering around as well. They did not fly around recklessly. They kept a low profile and flew close to the hills. Most of them flew in the valleys, which was more discreet. Thousands of miles to the left, there is a team of abyss of demons. 2 hours later, Luli suddenly stopped. He did not say anything. Instead, he sent a message to the others. Everyone stopped. Dong Yang sensed for a while and nodded. There is indeed a slight spatial fluctuation in front of us on the left. Don't release your divine telekinesis to avoid being alarmed. Should we take down this group of sergeants or take a detour? We cannot kill them. Something might go wrong. If we work together, we should be able to take them down in an instant before they send out a signal. What if something goes wrong? I suggest we take a detour. Taking a detour will be easy to be discovered. If they are discovered and the signal is sent out, the consequences will be unimaginable. They discussed in a low voice. Everyone had their own opinions. It was difficult to reach consensus. This was a dilemma. Taking down the team or taking a detour had its own advantages and disadvantages. Nobody could guarantee that nothing would go wrong. Lu Li said nothing, and neither did Xiang Ling Long, and Lu Ling Dong Yang frowned. He asked Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long, Lady Ling Long, Lady Ling, what do you think? Xiang Ling Long replied coldly, you can decide. Lu Ling, on the other hand, looked at Lu Li as if she was asking for his opinion. Lu Li said without any hesitation, let's take a detour first. I will keep an eye on them. If they do anything, we will take them down right away. Dong Yang asked with a frown, God of Massacre, can you be sure that the abyss of demons will not sense it when you are checking? Isn't that obvious? Lu Li was speechless. If they could sense it, they would have come a long time ago. God of Massacre, be nice. Chapter 2635. The others glared at Lu Li as well. Lu Li shrugged and said, okay, let's stop arguing. The abyssal demon warriors are coming. Make your choice. Then let's take a detour. Dong Yang glanced over to the others. Seeing no objection, he led the others to the right. Lu Li had been secretly sensing. Through the trace of Tao, Lu Li could tell how many abyssal demon warriors were there and where they were going. In this way, the abyssal demon warriors would not be able to sense them because Lu Li wasn't even looking at them. He was just sensing the ripples in space. Lu Li and the others were far away, so the abyssal demon warriors could not sense them. After they had gone for more than 3,000 miles, Lu Li said, okay, they're going in another direction. They're getting further away from us. Let's go back the way we came. Dong Yang and the others have been checking around. They could sense some ripples in space. Just as Lu Li said, the ripples were fading away. That team of abyssal demon warriors went in another direction and they didn't notice the others. Let's go. They were excited. Lu Li's scouting ability seemed to be quite impressive. With Lu Li around, it would be safer and easier for them to accomplish their tasks. Two of them looked at Lu Li with gentleness. After all, Lu Li had a special skill that could save their lives. They moved on. Even though Lu Li was scouting, the others didn't dare to let their guard down. They had been searching carefully. For hours later, they saw another team of abyssal demon warriors. Lu Li was the first to notice them. They kept on going. Every once in a while, they would run into abyssal demon warriors. Clearly, the abyssal demon warriors were worried that human scouts would sneak in, so they had sent some warriors to patrol. Lu Li's amazing scouting ability had won them over. Not only could he detect warriors, but he could also detect scouts from the abyssal demon warriors lurking around. Along the way, Lu Li had caught more than a dozen scouts. He didn't dare to kill any of them. He mixed up their souls and threw them into the separation bead. Scouts from the abyssal demon warriors were not only stone golems, but also tree golems and mud golems. They were of the same race, but they could change into different forms. This race was good at hiding. They didn't have any chi and they wouldn't move. Even when Lu Li was close to them, they wouldn't move. It had been more than 4 hours, but no demon abyss soldiers or powerhouses had come to pursue him. What did this mean? This meant that the demonic abyss had not discovered their infiltration. This made everyone excited. Since they couldn't find it in 4 hours, they might not be able to find it in 2 days. As long as they could travel safely for 2 or 3 days, they would be able to reach the altar and complete their mission easily. Everyone be careful. After traveling for more than 2 hours, Dong Yang stood on a mountain peak and said in a low voice, "There's a small devil cave in front of us. I wonder if their army has been mobilized for reinforcements." In short, everyone has to be extremely careful. If we're discovered, we'll be in big trouble. Everyone had seen the map before. They all knew that in front of them was a huge mountain range that had been transformed into a devil's den. If they wanted to reach the sacrificial altar, they had to go around 3 small devil's dens. This was the first one. Of course, they wouldn't directly pass through the devil's den. That would be no different from throwing their lives away. Even if the army in the devil's den had been transferred away, there would definitely be an army left behind, and there would also be experts presiding over it. They had planned their route and chose to take a detour. Even if they did, there would be many demonic abyss warriors nearby. Therefore, they had to be on high alert and be ready for battle at any time. None of them dared to fly because that would be too conspicuous. They chose to keep a low profile and jump around in the mountains. Of course, they wouldn't leave any obvious traces. They would just touch the leaves on the ground and then fly on. They moved forward like foxes. Soon, they arrived at the Devil's Den. They didn't take a detour. They were only 30,000 miles away from the Devil's Den. If they took a detour, it would take them more time. They were extremely nervous. Luli had been using the trace of Tao to check the surroundings at all times. Blood Fairy had been patrolling an area with a radius of thousands of miles. There are demonic abyss warriors. Take a detour to the left. There are demonic abyss warriors on the left. Go back and take a detour from the right. There are scouts up ahead. However, after several tens of thousands of miles, Luli kept sending orders. They didn't dare to stop. At this moment, they were blindly following Luli's orders. Luli did not give out random orders. Every time, under his command, they could avoid the demonic abyss warriors perfectly. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Luli had become the leader. Dong Yang and the others were not convinced, but they had to follow Luli. Luli did not rely on words. He used actions to prove that following him was the best and safest choice. There were more demonic abyss warriors, but not as many as they had imagined. At the very least, not all the routes were blocked. They were still moving forward quietly without being discovered. Okay, after running for more than an hour, the number of demon abyss soldiers around them had decreased significantly. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, there were no more demon abyss soldiers around them. Everyone felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. It seemed that they had successfully circumvented this demon puppet. If they could go around one devil's den, they could go around the second one and the third one. As long as they could go around the third devil's den, they would arrive at the altar in a couple of hours at most. By then, they would have accomplished their mission and there would be no more problems. Let's take a break. Luli arrived at a mountain and found a cave. He said to the others, "You can get tired easily if you're tense for too long. You can run into problems. I suggest we take a break for 2 hours." "No," Dong Yang refused firmly. "We must make every second count. We haven't been moving for long, and we have to take a break. What if something goes wrong during the 2 hours? What if we were discovered?" Luli looked at Dong Yang as if he was an idiot and said coldly, "If you want to go, then go. I need to rest for a while. If you want to rest with me, stay. If you want to go, go." During this time, Luli had been on high alert. He had been using the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings at all times. He had consumed too much of his spiritual energy. He must rest, or else something might go wrong later. Once he made a mistake, it would be more likely that they would be discovered. As for the possibility of being discovered, Luli was not worried at all. He could tell Blood Fairy to build a rune to hide everyone's energy. "That's what you said." Dong Yang threw Luli a cold glance and then said to the others, "Those who want to go with me, step forward. Those who don't, stay. This place is too close to the Devil's Den. It is very likely that we will be discovered. I don't dare to linger. Those who want to stay can stay." Chapter 2636. Dong Ying had always disliked Luli. When he first met Luli, Dong Ying already disliked Luli. Later, he suppressed it. By the time they arrived, Luli was in the limelight, which made Dong Ying even more unhappy. Luli wanted to rest now. Dong Ying didn't think it was necessary. Time was precious, and they should make every second count. This place could be exposed at any time, and Luli wanted to rest for 2 hours? Wasn't he courting death? He had the Black Tower that could isolate everyone's chi and energy so that the Abyss Demon Warriors could not sense them. He also had treasures that could help him get out. He believed that everyone would go with him. Without Luli, it might not be so easy for them to detect the Abyss Demon Warriors. However, Dong Ying's soul was strong. He didn't believe that without Luli, they would be discovered by the Abyss Demon Warriors. With Luli here, Dong Ying felt he had no chance to put on a show even though he was powerful. Therefore, when he had conflicting thoughts, he burst out without any hesitation. Dong Yi, calm down. A young man said, let's rest for a while. How about we rest for the time for 2 incense sticks to burn? I don't think we should separate. Something might go wrong. Another man tried to persuade Luli, God of Massacre, there is no need to be angry. Have you forgotten what Lord Nong said? We must be united. If we have any personal grudges, we will settle them when we get out. How about we rest for the time for 1 or 2 incense sticks to burn? It is not personal. Luli shook his head and said, I must rest enough to move on, or I will not be able to make it. Once something goes wrong, we'll be doomed eternally. You're making it sound like we're dead for sure without you? Dong Ying sneered and said, we can't without you? You think too highly of yourself. We are so close to the Abyss Demon Warriors. Once they sense our human chi and energy, we will be exposed. Once we are exposed, the consequences will be unimaginable. Okay, no more nonsense. If you want to come with me, let's go. If you don't, stay. When we are done, we will gather at the Mountain of Heaven Tiger. Dong Ying didn't waste any more words. He slowly flew forward by himself. Their expressions changed. Without Dong Ying's pagoda and their chi and energy, they would be easily sensed by the powerful warriors from the Abyss Demon Warriors. They would die for sure. Slaughter God Lu. One of them was anxious. He looked at Luli, but Luli was unmoved. The two sighed helplessly and went after Dong Yang. Xiao. Another 3 had left. Only Xiang Ling Long, Lu Ling, and another powerful warrior were left. That man looked at Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long. Seeing that they showed no signs of moving, he said, Ladies, are you not leaving? Lu Ling looked at Lu Li and said with certainty, I will go with him. As far as Lu Ling was concerned, Lu Li was absolutely trustworthy. What was more, Lu Li had demonstrated many miraculous abilities, which made Lu Ling trust him even more. Without a second thought, she chose to advance and retreat with Lu Li. The other person looked at Xiang Ling Long. Xiang Ling Long pondered for a moment, then said, I will also go with him. If you don't trust him, you can leave. Xiang Ling Long resented Lu Li, especially when he and Lu Ling were flirting with each other, which put her in a bad mood. That being said, she could not deny her trust in Lu Li's abilities. Lu Li had demonstrated so many miraculous abilities in that world of savages. Having known Lu Li for so many years, Xiang Ling Long never doubted Lu Li's abilities. Very well. Good luck to you. That man sighed and chose to leave. He admired Lu Li's abilities as well. That being said, Dong Yang had 2 treasures and he was very strong. In the end, the man chose to go with Dong Yang. You trust me that much? As soon as Dong Yang and the others left, Lu Li looked at Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long with a grin. When he looked at Xiang Ling Long, he put on a mocking smile. Xiang Ling Long turned her face away. She looked gloomy as well. Lu Ling looked at Xiang Ling Long and said, All right, Lu Li, stop joking. Where are we going to rest? There's a cave over there. I will build some runes to make sure we are safe. Lu Li led them to the cave, where Blood Fairy was already making preparations. As soon as Xiang Ling Long went in, she found a place to cultivate. She paid no attention to Lu Li and Lu Ling. When Lu Ling came in, she looked at Xiang Ling Long with a smile. All of a sudden, she said to Lu Li, this pearl of coldness seems to have something to do with you. What is it? Did you 2 quarrel? Ha ha, Lu Li replied with a smile. It's okay. Don't worry. I will build the runes first. Lu Li did not want to dwell on this matter. This was a dangerous place, and he had Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long with him. He could not afford to be careless. He sat with his legs crossed at once to check the surroundings. Blood Fairy was fast in building the runes. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, the cave disappeared completely and was enveloped by the runes. When Blood Fairy was done, Lu Li took out a quilt and went to bed happily. Soon, he fell asleep. Lu Ling rolled her eyes. Xiang Linglong opened her eyes as well. She glared at Lu Li angrily and gnashed her teeth, which amused Lu Ling, Lady Linglong. While checking the surroundings, Lu Ling walked over and sat down next to Xiang Linglong. You seem to have some conflict with Lu Li. Xiang Linglong was hostile toward Lu Ling. Maybe she had subconsciously regarded Lu Ling as a rival in love. She snorted and said, I have nothing to do with him. Lady Ling, don't overthink it. I think you are overthinking it. Lu Ling smiled before she said anything. She said kindly, there is no romantic relationship between Lu Li and me. According to him, I am the closest person to him. I am his sister. Sister? Xiang Linglong was taken aback. After a moment, she said, Lady Ling, don't try to fool me. You are from the Dragon Rebel race, and Lu Li is a human being. How can you be brother and sister? Also, you don't even know if you are brother and sister. I'm confused about the first point as well. Lu Ling was not angry at all. She explained with a smile, when I was young, my memory was sealed off. My family patriarch did it himself. Therefore, I can't remember many things from before, but I can feel that the relationship between me and Lu Li is not ordinary. I have a natural sense of closeness to him, like he is my closest relative. I can even die for him, so I don't doubt his words at all. What? Chapter 26:37. Xiang Linglong was moved. Many images flashed across her mind. In the end, she fixed her eyes on Lu Li, who was sleeping soundly. Looking at Lu Li's chiseled face, she was overwhelmed by a multitude of emotions. Lu Li slept for 2 hours. He woke up on time. He took a look at the two and realized that they were sitting together. Even though they didn't say anything, they were clearly more intimate. What? Lu Li's curiosity was piqued. Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling did not see eye to eye. Xiang Linglong, in particular, looked at Lu Ling with hostility. Lu Li did not ask any questions. He checked the surroundings, took out the map, and said, Let's go. We have had a good rest. It is time to get down to business. Lu Ling stood up and said, Lu Li, where are you going? How are you going to hide our energy? That is easy. Lu Li had already thought about this. He said with a smile, The abyssal demon warriors can sense our energy because our chi and blood are strong and our life is vigorous. What if we all go into the interspatial artifact? Naturally, they will not be able to sense our energy. That will not work. Lu Ling shook her head. For one thing, it is too slow to fly in an interspatial artifact. For another, our senses will be weakened in an interspatial artifact, which will be more dangerous. Also, once we are in danger, we will not be able to react as quickly. We will not be too slow. Lu Li shook his head. I will let her take us. Buzzing. Lu Li's heaven separation bead glowed. Then the daughter of the Holy King came out. She stood in the cave with her eyes closed. There was no energy coming out from her. She was like a puppet. The daughter of the Holy King used to have strong energy. Anyone who looked at her would feel that she was different. However, over the years, Blood Fairy had changed her. At the moment, she had no energy. She was like an average human being. Her energy was so weak that it was almost imperceptible. What? Xiang Linglong's pupils contracted. She pulled a long face. Lu Li was hiding a mistress in his house. There was a beauty in an interspatial artifact. Linglong. Lu Li forced a smile. She is a puppet. She has lost her soul, and she has been dead for at least hundreds of thousands of years. What? Xiang Linglong was stunned. Then, her embarrassment turned into anger. Lu Li, do you think we're monkeys? She is alive. Lu Ling said with a smile. Sister Linglong, this is indeed a golem. It has no soul. Feel it carefully. Xiang Linglong was stunned again. She took a closer look. She blushed and lowered her head in shame. Lu Li didn't continue to tease her. He explained, I have a special ability that allows me to check an area with a radius of 3,000 miles, even when I am in an interspatial artifact. I have of you. So, you don't have to worry about me. And I have you. You of Ling of Yao. Lu Ling agreed to Lu Li's suggestion after some thoughts. There was no better way. Dong Yang had taken away that piece of treasure. If they were to walk around, it was highly likely that they would be exposed. Now, it was up to the daughter of a saint king to avoid the detection of the powerful warriors from the abyss of devils. Luli took out the heaven separation bead and put them in. Then he went in as well. He told Blood Fairy to come back. He went into the soul of Ling of the Ling of Lees. Luli used the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. Ling of the Ling of Lees, the daughter of Holy King, floated out like a ghost. Good. Not bad. The daughter of Holy King walked for the time for one incense stick to burn. Luli nodded with satisfaction. The daughter of Holy King was like a ghost. She was even quieter than they were. Her breath of life was almost negligible. There was no fluctuation of divine energy. Therefore, it was unlikely that the warriors of Abyss of Lees could sense her, unless there was a powerful warrior of the Demon Lord level nearby, in which case there would be no other way. If there was a Demon Lord nearby, then even if they were with Dong Yang, the Demon Lord would still be able to sense them. Demon Lords were at the same level as human lords. Their senses were strong. It's okay now. You can cultivate in peace. Luli opened his eyes with a smile. With me around, you can rest easy. Everything is fine out there. Don't worry, and don't use psychic power. Leave it to me. Lu Ling nodded with a smile. She had absolute trust in Luli. Somehow, Xiang Linglong was relieved as well because Luli never lied to her. Every time Luli said something like this, it meant that they could sleep in peace. Luli paid no more attention to them. He continued to monitor the outside and guided Blood Fairy to control the daughter of Holy King to move forward. Luli told Blood Fairy to slow down to the middle stage of the fourth tribulation. In this way, he would have more time to check, which would be safer. Just as Luli had expected, they would run into warriors of the abyss of Demon Lord every now and then. Luli could also sense the lurking scouts. Then, he would control the daughter of Holy King to change directions and avoid them. Luli and Xiang Linglong were relieved after 4 to 6 hours. If they could not be found after 4 to 6 hours, then it was unlikely that they would be found later. But Luli did not let his guard down. To let his guard down would be to court death. Any mistake could doom the three of them eternally. Luli checked the map. He decided to take a rest after another 6 hours because they would arrive at the second nest of demons in 6 hours. Luli was always on the lookout. He had to be highly focused, which was exhausting and could easily lead to mistakes. The daughter of Holy King was weak, and Luli and the others were in the interspatial artifact. The small space in the interspatial artifact was not connected to the outside world. Therefore, Luli and the others could not sense their presence. Also, Luli could use the trace of Tao to sense the situation outside quietly. That was why the journey was so smooth. 4 hours later, Luli arrived at the second nest of demons. He did not press on. Instead, he found a cave nearby and asked Blood Fairy to set up a rune. He was going to have a good rest for 2 hours. When he woke up, he would make a spurt of energy and rush to the altar to complete his task. Dong Yang worked hard. When the arrangement was complete, Luli let them out. In this way, if anything happened, they could face the enemies at once. Before Luli fell asleep, he sighed. As long as Dong Yang was fine, Luli was confident that he could reach the altar and complete his task perfectly. I don't think anything will go wrong. Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling looked at each other. They were not worried. Dong Yang was arrogant, but he was capable. Otherwise, how could he rank second on the list? Sure. Chapter 2638. You are wrong. Lu Ling shook her head and said, "The list is fair in the beginning. I don't even think I should be ranked higher than you. I should be ranked lower than you." Xiang Linglong waved her hand and said, "Sister Ling, don't say that. You're being too modest." "I'm not being modest. I'm aware of my own limitations." Lu Ling explained with a smile. "I told you before that part of my memory is sealed. I have been in the Dragon Rebel Valley since the beginning of my memory, but I have no memory of what happened before that. In other words, I was never in the Dragon Rebel Valley." Xiang Linglong nodded. Lu Ling went on. "After I came to the Dragon Rebel Valley, the family patriarch valued me very much. He paid a great price to help me improve my abilities and realm. I can cultivate so fast because the family patriarch forced me to do so. Therefore, my foundation is not stable. Naturally, my abilities are not as good. Even if I release the Dragon Rebel Blood Seal, I will not be able to exert my full strength. Do you understand? I see. Xiang Linglong understood now. Lu Ling's foundation was not stable. She was pulling up the shoots to help them grow. She would try to improve her realm by force, and then slowly stabilize her realm and abilities. This is not a good thing. It might affect her future cultivation. If a house was built up by force without a solid foundation, it would collapse eventually. Now, Lu Ling was doing it by force. She could strengthen the foundation later. This could work as well, but still problems could arise. Right, Sister Ling? Xiang Linglong thought of something and asked, "Do you know who is the #1 on the rookie list?" "I don't know." Lu Ling shook her head and said, "The intelligence department of the Dragon Rebel race has looked into it, but found nothing. This man is too mysterious." "Then he must be from an ancient race," Xiang Ling murmured. "Usually, people will not let go of such a good chance to make a name for themselves. He is hiding like this. Maybe he doesn't want his identity to be exposed. He has too many enemies. Okay, let's stop here." Lu Ling waved her hand and said, "Let's check around. We are not far from the second monster's nest. Don't let anything go wrong." Lu Li and the other two were near the second monster's nest. What they didn't know was that Dong Yang and the others were not far from them as well. At this moment, he was in big trouble. They had been discovered. The 7 of them were all top-notch elites. Their souls were extremely powerful. Before the demonic abyss's soldiers could get close to them, they could sense them in advance and immediately took a detour to escape. However, their perception of the scouts in the demonic abyss was much weaker. When they first came in, there were 2 scouts hidden in the rocks, so they did not sense them. Although they were aware of this, they would carefully examine every rock and tree they passed, and they found many scouts along the way. However, as they approached the second Devil's Den, there were too many Devil Abyss soldiers. Their attention was attracted by the Devil Abyss soldiers. Naturally, they would be careless and be discovered by the Devil Abyss scouts. Woo woo woo, hearing the strange cries of the Demon Abyss army coming from all directions, Dong Yiying and the others were shocked. Although they were not too far away from the altar, and if they flew at full speed, it would only take them half a day's journey, but being discovered was still being discovered. Not only was their hope of completing the mission slim, but they might also all die here. "If I had known earlier, I would have left with Massacre God Lu and the others," someone murmured. Dong Ying was enraged. He shouted, "What is the point of saying all this nonsense now? Let's split up. In this way, we will have a higher chance of survival and completing the mission. Let's stick to our original plan. Let's go." Dong Ying's momentum was at its peak. He was like a burning sun. A golden halberd appeared in his hand. The halberd was majestic and horrifying. Clearly, it was a sovereign weapon. Golden armor appeared on his body, and golden light shone from his body. Like a god, he charged towards the north in a domineering manner. Dong Ying was not putting on airs. He was doing this to make it up to the others. He was attracting enough firepower so that they could run away easily. Being so ostentatious in a devil/s den, Dong Yang was also prepared to die here. Of course, it might also be because he had absolute confidence in his own strength. "Let's go." The others scattered to the east or west. Many regretted that they didn't go with Lu Li. That being said, there was no chance for them to make another choice. They had to fight their way out and rush toward the altar as fast as they could to complete the mission and then run away. Woo woo woo. From all sides, countless abyss of demon warriors came like a swarm of locusts. There were not many of them, but there were tens of thousands of them. It all depended on whether or not there were powerful warriors of the demon lord level. Otherwise, none of them would be able to escape. Dong Yiying attracted the most demon abyss soldiers, and a number of demon generals that could be detected reached dozens. The others had 3 people on each side. They rushed forward like 3 sharp swords. Soon, they made their way into the abyss of demon army. It had to be said that everyone's battle prowess was very strong, and they were all experts that were picked out of 10,000. Each of them had their own divine abilities, especially Dong Yang, who was ridiculously strong. With a casual strike, he could kill a few demon abyss soldiers. A demon lord rushed over. He launched a powerful attack, and the demon lord was smashed away with serious injuries. The others were fierce as well. The 7 of them were like 7 sharp swords, piercing through the abyss of demon army and breaking out of the encirclement. They didn't linger. They knew very well that the abyss of demon must have thought they were just human scouts. Therefore, they didn't send any powerful warriors. If they didn't escape quickly, there would definitely be demon lord-level martial experts chasing after them. There was a demon puppet nearby. 5 minutes later, everyone was covered with blood. Of course, it was the blood of abyss of demon warriors. Only 2 of them were injured, and they were all lightly injured. It was undeniable that everyone was very strong. Apart from Dong Yiying, everyone had killed their way out of the encirclement. Dong Yiying's battle strength was the strongest. However, there were too many abyss of demon warriors and martial experts on his side. He couldn't kill them all and couldn't get rid of them. The abyss of demon warriors and demon lords were not afraid of death. They kept rushing forward. Dong Yiying's hands were a little numb. Go! The 6 people who rushed out all looked back and saw Dong Yiying, who was like a bright sun, surrounded. Everyone sighed in their hearts. Maybe Dong Yiying was going to be buried here. Go quickly, one of them shouted. No one wanted to help Dong Yiying at this moment. If they didn't leave, they would all die. It didn't matter if they died. Everyone who could come here was prepared to die. They didn't think about how to survive. Instead, they thought about how to complete the mission. Whoosh! The 6 of them didn't leave together. They each picked a route and ran away as fast as they could. Even though the routes were different, in the end, everyone would go to the altar. As long as one of them could make it to the altar alive, then it would be a victory. Bang! Right at that moment, a jade talisman on Lu Li, Lu Ling, and Xiang Linglong cracked at the same time. Lu Li was still sleeping, but Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong's expressions changed. Chapter 2639. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong didn't wake Lu Li up. Since it had already happened, it was pointless for them to panic. Waking Lu Li up wouldn't help either. They might as well let Lu Li have a good rest. The 2 were perturbed. After sitting with their legs crossed for more than an hour, Lu Li slowly woke up. Seeing that the 2 looked so awful, he glanced over and said in a deep voice, Dong Yang and the others have been discovered? Xiang Linglong took out a broken jade talisman. Lu Li rubbed his face to clear his mind. He thought for the time for 1 incense stick to burn. Then, he took out the map and said, judging by their speed, they should be near the 2nd den of demons. They must have split up and run away. The armies of the abyss of demons will be after them. So, we cannot panic or move. We cannot move? Lu Ling was deep in thought. Xiang Linglong was confused. She asked, shouldn't we rush to the altar as fast as we can? We will rush there as fast as we can. If one of us can make it, then our mission will be accomplished. No, Lu Li said with determination. What is the difference between us and the other 7 if we rush to the altar now? If the 7 of them cannot make it, then what is the point of having 3 more? Or do you think you are stronger than Dong Yang? Xiang Linglong thought about it and felt that it made sense. But she still had some doubts. She asked, then what is the point of us staying here? If Dong Yang and the others die, we will die as well. Also, the abyss of demons will pay more attention to this. By then, more powerful warriors will come, and we will have nowhere to run. It is not that we don't want to go, Lu Li explained. We will wait for a day, and then we will depart. Lu Ling said at this moment. What Lu Li means is, we will follow them and let them go first. The armies of the abyss of demons will follow them as well. We're like the mantis stalking the cicada. This will be safer, and it will be easier for us to succeed. Xiang Linglong was not an idiot. She figured it out soon. She nodded and said nothing more. Lu Li used the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. Now that the abyss of demons had discovered Dong Yang and the others, they would send out more warriors to see if there were any survivors. Sure enough, in just an hour, Lu Li sensed the presence of the abyss army nearby. He was ready to take action at any time. Fortunately, the Demon Abyss soldiers were just passing by and did not notice that there were 3 humans hiding in this small cave. Blood Fairy's divine glyphs were so powerful that they completely isolated the 3's auras. More abyssal demon warriors passed by. 6 hours later, a team of abyssal demon warriors passed by right under their noses. They didn't notice any runes in the cave, or sense the presence of Lu Li and the others. The 3 of them were extremely nervous inside. If they were discovered, they could only fight their way to the altar like Dong Yang and the others. Half a day later, no more warriors came to search. Lu Li was relieved. Several hours later, there were no more warriors from the abyss of Asmodeans. Lu Li shouted, "Let's go." Lu Li put the 2 into the separation bead and asked the daughter of Saint King to take them on. He told Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long to be ready at any time while he continued to use the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. Lu Li's speculation was correct. The daughter of Saint King sneaked along. Lu Li noticed that there were few abyssal demon warriors. Occasionally, he would run into some, but he would go around them. The hidden scouts were gone as well. They must have been swarming toward the altar. It was easy to understand. Most of the powerful warriors from the abyss of demons had gone to the periphery to defend against the human armies. Dong Yang and the others were strong. Therefore, the first round of encirclement would be a failure. Most of Dong Yang and the others would flee. After those warriors fled, the big shots of the abyss of demons would pay more attention. They mobilized armies and powerful warriors to chase after them. No matter which route Dong Yang and the others took, their destination would be the altar. Therefore, the armies and powerful warriors would rush toward the altar. Naturally, the rear would be empty. Lu Li had an easy time. He told the daughter of Saint King to speed up so that they could reach the altar faster. Even though things were going smoothly, Lu Li did not look relaxed at all. If he was not wrong, half of the soldiers in the 3rd Devil's Cave would come to snipe Dong Yi Ing and the others, while the other half would go to the altar and surround it tightly. Lu Li believed that some of them could reach the altar. If they were lucky, they could as well. The problem was after arriving at the altar, how should they kill their way through the siege, reach the altar, and destroy this altar? The daughter of Saint King carried the separation bead with her. Under Lu Li's guidance, they traveled for more than 10 hours without encountering any danger. They were about to reach the 3rd nest of demons when Lu Li's luck ran out. There came a noise to the left. When Lu Li told the daughter of Saint King to go to the right, a team of abyssal demon warriors came to the right, and there was a scout lurking nearby. The scout didn't hide in the rock like before. Instead, he charged into the air and let out a shrill howl. Woo! Many abyssal demon warriors shouted in response. Lu Li did not let the daughter of Holy King escape. He forced a smile and said, "My 2 beautiful ladies, we have to get to work. We have been discovered. We are near the 3rd nest of demons, not far from the altar. At full speed, it will only take us 4 hours. Should we split up or go together?" "Let's go together." Ling Long and Lu Ling answered without any hesitation. They were so close to the altar. There was no need to split up. The 3 of them could look out for each other, which would increase their chances of survival. "Ha, ha, ha. I will not let you split up." With a laugh, Lu Li showed up with the other 2. He took out a soft sword and flew up like a mad dragon. He shouted, "Follow me and protect me. I will take you out of the encirclement." "What are you talking about?" Ling Long rolled her eyes and said, "Don't forget, what is your rank on the list of new talents?" "What is my rank?" "I will lead the attack. You and Sister Ling will hold the line." "Okay." Lu Ling walked over to Lu Li with a solemn expression and said, "You 2 are still flirting at a time like this? Let's work together and kill the enemies. Let's kill our way out as fast as we can and get closer to the altar. We must cherish every breath of time, or even many breaths of time can save our lives." "Charge!" Lu Li bellowed. He waved his soft sword, and the 2 abyss of demon race warriors in front of him were struck. Lu Li generated abominable talismans in his other hand. One after another, the abominable talismans flew out and blasted away the abyss of demon race warriors that came close. Woo-woo. Chapter 2640. Over the years, Luli had become familiar with using the honesty talisman. Since there were no outsiders here, Luli didn't have to disguise himself. He didn't have to use the colorful light, which would save him trouble. He just used the honesty talisman to kill the abyssal demon warriors. In the end, Luli didn't even bother to use soul attacks. He generated honesty talismans and sent them to all sides. Every Wu Wang talisman could blast a devil general away, but it couldn't kill them. Luli didn't want to kill them either. They were only trying to break out of the encirclement, not to kill all the abyssal demon warriors. It was simpler for Xiang Linglong. She released some chilly dragon energy and waved it around. Everywhere the chilly air reached, the abyssal demon warriors would be frozen into ice sculptures. She didn't take out her white jade fan, or else it would be more powerful. She and Luli both chose not to release their strongest attacks, because they both knew that if they released too strong of an attack, it would be easy for them to be targeted by a demon lord. Now was not the time to risk their lives. Keeping a low profile would allow them to live longer. Lu Ling did not release the reverse dragon blood seal. Instead, she took out a fire-red bow, pulled it open, and shot out arrows. Every time, she could shoot out more than a dozen arrows. Each arrow could knock away a demon abyss warrior. The three of them were powerful. Even though there were many abyssal demon warriors coming at them, none of them had the chance to get close. They were smashed away by the three easily. It really is the honesty talisman. It is powerful. Lu Ling threw a glance to Lu Li. While moving forward, she asked, Lu Li, did the Reincarnation Emperor teach you the honesty talisman? No. Lu Li shook his head. I have never seen the Emperor in person. When we were teleported, it was the first time we saw his shadow. I can learn the honesty talisman because it took Qi Tianyu's 7-colored glazed pagoda. The pagoda contains the mark of laws left by the Emperor. I learned the honesty talisman after I studied the mark of laws. I see. Lu Ling's bow glowed. She said no more and focused on breaking out of the encirclement. In the distance, more and more demon abyss soldiers rushed over. They were getting closer to the third demon puppet, so it was normal for there to be more demon abyss soldiers. The three of them walked together. Lu Li was at the front, and the other two stood on the left and right. The three of them stood in a triangle. Like a sharp sword, they dashed forward with unstoppable momentum. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Lu Li and the other two broke out from the encirclement. Without any hesitation, Lu Li shouted, "Fly to the east." To the north was the third Devil's Denver. Not only were there countless Devil Abyss soldiers, but there were also many Devil Abyss powerhouses. Naturally, the three of them couldn't go there. The three of them sped up to the extreme. At this point, the gap between their abilities could be seen. Linglong and Lu Ling were faster than Lu Li. Even though Lu Li's physical body had reached the peak of the 5th tribulation thanks to the unfettered steps, his realm was still too low. He was only at the 4th tribulation. Naturally, his speed would be affected. After a while, Xiang Linglong grew impatient. She said to Lu Ling, "Sister Ling, why don't you fly him? Too slow." Lu Ling looked at Xiang Linglong with a smile and said, "Sister Linglong, I have just reached the peak of the 5th tribulation. I'm slower than you. It will be even slower if I take someone with me. Sister, please go with him." Me? Xiang Linglong was surprised. She glanced at Lu Li from the corner of her eyes. She thought about it and flew over. She grabbed Lu Li's shoulder with one hand. Lu Li touched his nose in embarrassment. He felt like he was living off a woman while being carried by a woman. Fly to the left. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Lu Li suddenly said. Xiang Linglong flew to the left without any hesitation, and Lu Ling went after her. Lu Li closed his eyes and used the trace of Tao to sense the surroundings. They were so fast. If they didn't check carefully, they could run into the army of the abyss of demon again. Take a detour, go to the right. Go back. There are armies up ahead. Speed up and go through from the left. There are 2 armies of the abyss of demon up ahead. Along the way, Lu Li kept yelling. His perception was much stronger than Xiangling Long and Xiangling Long's. They decided to stop checking and conserve their energy for the upcoming battle. We cannot avoid them. Get ready to break through. After the time for several incense sticks to burn, Luli shouted. Xiangling Long put Luli down. The three of them rushed forward. There was indeed an army of the abyss of demon up ahead. There were thousands of them. The army of the abyss of demon hadn't noticed them yet. They were alerted by some noises and rushed over, yelling. Lu Li and the other two fearlessly moved forward. The three of them used their own skills and broke through the army of the abyss of demon. Then, Xiangling Long carried Lu Li on while he closed his eyes to sense the surroundings. That group of people should be nearby. After a while, Lu Li said with a sigh. Xiangling Long and Lu Ling frowned. Xiangling Long asked, "How can you be so sure?" "Armies and corpses of the abyss of demon." Lu Li explained, "I have seen many corpses along the way. I can tell how long the battle has been going on based on the coldness of the corpses. Also, I saw 3 different moves on the corpses, which means there are at least 3 people nearby. They arrived here at most an hour before us." Alas, Xiangling Long sighed. The 7 had left a day earlier than them. They didn't expect that they could catch up with them so easily. It seemed that things were not going well for them. How many of the 7 were still alive? Moving on, they saw more abyss of demon warriors. They could often see the corpses of the abyss of demon warriors. Many of the corpses hadn't been dead for long, which meant that there were abyss of demon warriors nearby, and they were not far away. "Let's take a detour to the left," Lu Li said to Lu Ling and Xiangling Long after some thoughts. Lu Ling frowned, but said nothing. Xiangling Long was confused and asked, "Taking a detour of 30,000 miles will cost us an hour or even 2 hours. Is it worth it?" "Yes," Lu Li said with certainty. "Our people are ahead of us. They're leading the abyss of demon warriors toward the altar. If we go with them, we will end up the same as them. We will be surrounded by countless abyss of demon warriors, and we will have to fight our way out. Like I said, there are 7 of them, and they're not weaker than us. If they cannot get in, then neither can we." Xiangling Long understood. She said, "You mean we should go to the other side? While the abyss of demon warriors are distracted by them, we can find another way and go straight to the root of the problem. This is a good idea, but isn't it too disloyal? We can leave them behind." "What are we doing here?" Lu Li said coldly. "You want to be loyal at a time like this? If we can't complete the mission, then all our efforts and so many people out there will be in vain. Any sacrifice will be worth it as long as we can complete the mission. What is more, they might not die. We might not be able to save them. Do you understand? Okay, let's go." Xiangling Long said no more. She flew quickly with Lu Li and Lu Ling by her side. Soon, the 3 of them disappeared into the mountains. Chapter 26:41. Some of Dong Yang's group were still alive, and quite a few of them were still alive. Only 2 of the 7 had died. These 2 were unlucky to have been surrounded by the Demon Abyss army. The other 5, including Dong Yang, were still alive. They were alive not because they were terrifyingly strong, but because the Demon Abyss didn't pay attention to them, and because the Reincarnation Emperor and the others cooperated well. The Reincarnation Emperor led all the Emperor level and army to attack fiercely. Most of the experts in the Demon Abyss had joined the battle. There was only 1 Demon Master among the 3 demon puppets here. In the beginning, this Demon Master did not pay too much attention to it. In the past, the human race had often sent scouts to penetrate into their territory. In the past, once they were discovered, they would mobilize the army to surround and capture them. How could they send troops to chase after a few mere humans? Although the 3 demon puppets here had mobilized most of their troops, there were still more than 100,000 troops. The Demon Master didn't think that a few humans, who weren't even lords, could escape the search of tens of thousands of troops he had mobilized. Now he realized that something was wrong with the situation. Because he had mobilized so many troops and chased for so long, most of the humans had not been killed, but many of the Demon Abyss soldiers had been killed, and the demon generals had suffered heavy casualties. Most importantly, these people were rushing toward the altar. Their intentions were very obvious. The demon master here couldn't sit still anymore. He immediately issued countless orders and mobilized all the demon abyss soldiers. He also sent a message to a demon master guarding the altar, asking them to prepare for defense. He was very clear about the function of this altar. The altar had already been built and was ready to be activated in the near future. If there was a problem with this altar, he thought that the demon masters of the demon abyss would tear off their flesh piece by piece. The demon master also moved out personally. His target was the most imposing and strongest Dong Yang. Dong Yang had killed too many demon abyss soldiers and demon generals. He had to kill Dong Yang here to give the demon masters an explanation. At this moment, if someone could fly 100,000 miles high in the sky and had good enough vision, he would be able to see a huge mountain range below. This mountain range had been transformed into a demon's den. There were many caves in all directions, and the demon abyss army rushed out endlessly. After that, they quickly flew towards the north, densely packed together like a swarm of bees. Lu Li and the other two were at the west side of the Asmodeans, and they were running in a straight line. There were fewer Asmodean warriors here. The northern side of the devil puppets had the most soldiers. 5 of them charged towards the north like 5 sharp arrows. The 5 of them didn't move in the same direction, and they didn't move in the same direction either. Some were facing north, some were facing northeast, and some were facing northwest. However, they were all facing north in general. They were surrounded by demon abyss soldiers, and there were even more demon abyss soldiers chasing after them. To the north of them was the location of the altar. At the moment, the altar was surrounded by an army that had formed 3 lines of defense, waiting for the 5 of them to arrive. Boom, boom, boom. Dong Yang was in the middle of the 5. His golden armor was stained with blood. Of course, it was all the blood of his enemies. His armor was a powerful treasure. The devil soldiers couldn't break it, not even the devil generals. He hadn't run into any powerful warriors of the demon lord level yet, so he hadn't been injured yet. He was just a bit tired. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and his face was full of confidence. He was a bit slow, but he had been moving forward. It had been a long time since there were any demon lords. Therefore, he thought it was highly likely that the demon lords had gone to the front line to fight against the human armies. As long as there were no demon lords, he was confident that no Asmodean warrior or a general could stand in his way. Not even a demon lord using forbidden skills could kill him. As long as he could get to the altar and destroy it, he could fight his way out at any time and then use the treasure to escape. By then, he would be a hero of the human race. His name would be known all over the world, and he would gain glory for himself and his family. 2 hours, as long as I have 2 more hours, I will be able to kill my way to the altar. On this thought, the tiredness on Dong Yang's face vanished. His blood was boiling at the thought of completing his mission, returning with glory, and enjoying the worship of so many people and the admiration of so many young ladies. Go to hell. Dong Yang swung his halberd. Several Asmodean warriors in front of him were smashed away. 2 of them were killed directly. He was as unstoppable as an invincible demon lord. The others were not as good as him. There was still a gap between their combat strength. 2 of them were injured. Although the other 2 were not injured, they were very tired. The high-intensity battle and the taut nerves had overwhelmed them. However, both of them knew very well that they had to endure no matter how hard it was. This was not only related to their life and death, but also the fate of the human race. Because the army was in the north, the attention of the lords here was attracted by Dong Yang's group of 5. Therefore, the 3 of them were not paid much attention, and there were not too many troops chasing after them. Therefore, the 3 of them easily broke out of the encirclement. The 3 of them did not rush north. Instead, they rushed all the way west. They planned to take a detour of 100,000 miles before turning to the altar. Time passed quickly. Although Dong Yang and the others were getting more and more tired, they were getting more and more excited. Because they were about to reach the altar, their mission was likely to be completed. However, the 5 of them also found a problem. There were more and more Asmodean warriors around them. There was no way to kill them all. They had no choice but but to continue moving forward with great difficulty towards the north. Whoosh! After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Dong Yang suddenly took out a signal flare and threw it into the air. The signal flare exploded in the air. It could be seen from thousands of miles away. Dong Yang! The 4 people nearby were all shocked. Dong Yang was not dead, and he had sent out a signal to gather. Without any hesitation, the 4 of them rushed towards the direction of Dong Yang's signal. They were about to reach the altar. It was very likely that the 5 of them could complete their mission. The meaning of Dong Yang's signal was clear: to let the living gather around him. After they finished their mission, they could kill their way out together. Then, they could use the treasure to escape back to the northern demon city. In addition, when everyone gathered together, they could look out for each other to avoid being killed. Lu Li and the other 2 were more than 100,000 miles away to the west. Naturally, they could not see or hear Dong Yang's signal flare. But even if Lu Li could see it, he would not go and meet up with Dong Yang. Young Master Dong Yang. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, 2 people came and met up with Dong Yang. Seeing that Dong Yang was unharmed, the 2 were excited. The possibility of them escaping back with Dong Yang would be greatly increased. Kill! Dong Yang's heroic spirit was boosted when he saw the 2 gathered. He roared and sped up with the other 2 towards the north. After the time for another 2 incense sticks to burn, the remaining 2 also came over. Dong Yang hurried over with his men to meet up with the other 2. The 5 of them gathered together. The altar is thousands of miles away. Let's go. Dong Yang waved his halberd and pointed to the north. He shouted, "Destroy this altar, and we will have accomplished our mission." Accomplished our mission? Ha 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 ha. Right at that moment, a cold laugh came out. The voice had the same accent as the third heaven citizen, but the tone was particularly uncomfortable. As the sound of his voice faded, a thick black aura suddenly appeared in the air in front of them. The black aura condensed into the shape of a gigantic demon in the air. A cold voice rang out. "You still want to destroy the devil altar? You're simply daydreaming. Obediently become my demonic slaves, and I'll grant you eternal life." Chapter 2642. Demon Lord. Dong Yang and the other 4 looked terrible. They were about to reach the altar, and now there was a demon lord? They were so close to success, but now it was all for naught. At first, Dong Yang thought it was safe, so he called everyone over. Now he realized that it was a very wrong decision. "I will stop the demon lord. You guys run in different directions." Without any hesitation, Dong Yang roared and rushed toward the demon lord alone. Although he asked everyone to run in different directions, his intention was clear. He wanted them to break through separately and then rush to the north to destroy the altar. The demon lord, sneered and ignored the 4 martial artists who were breaking through to the east and west. He only had eyes for Dong Yang. In his opinion, the combat strength of the other 4 was not enough. He was only interested in Dong Yang. He was not worried that the other 4 would go to the altar because there was still some distance between them and the altar, and the Demon Abyss army was in between. When the 4 rushed to the altar, he believed that he would have killed Dong Yang. Besides, so what if the 4 of them made it to the altar alive? There was a demon lord waiting for them over there. When Dong Yang rushed over, the demon lord in the air suddenly turned into a black fog. Then the black fog turned into a big black worm and hit Dong Yang. God of War, kill. The halberd in Dong Yang's hand lit up with golden light, and there was a dark golden airflow on it. He suddenly struck with the halberd twice, and 2 streams of light flew out. These 2 streams of light intertwined and formed a slanted cross that went toward the big black worm. Boom! The big black worm and the golden cross collided, and there was a terrible explosion. All the Demon Abyss soldiers nearby were thrown out, and the black fog was shaken away. Buzzing, but the black fog quickly condensed in the distance, and the appearance of the giant demon appeared again. The demon lord said in a cold voice, "Not bad. Interesting. But if you only have this little combat strength, then you can only be my demon slave." The black fog changed again. This time it was not a big worm, but dozens of black crows. With strange cries, dozens of black crows flew toward Dong Yang. Kill, 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 kill. Dong Yang kept swinging the halberd in his hand. Golden cross-shaped lights flew out, causing the void to shake and the sky to change color. The terrifying killing intent caused many demon abyss soldiers to retreat in fear. Boom, 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 one by one, the crows were scattered, but the black gas did not dissipate. Instead, it continued to blow towards Dong Ying. Soon, the space around Dong Ying fluctuated, and 4 sky-devouring trolls appeared. The 4 towering demons swung their big hands at Dong Ying at the same time, and a sense of deadly crisis emerged in Dong Ying's mind. Buzz, at this moment, Dong Ying didn't dare to hide his combat strength anymore. A large golden bowl appeared in his hand. The mouth of the bowl was covered with a golden glow, and there were mysterious and complicated divine runes on the bowl. He poured his divine power into the bowl and threw it high up into the sky. Buzz, the large bowl quickly grew larger and turned into a huge bowl with a radius of 300 meters. After it flew up to a height of 3,000 meters, it dropped down at a terrifying speed, and Dong Yang and the 4 titans were caught in it, a sovereign weapon of the human race. In the distant void, a towering demon was formed. The demon lord's cold voice was heard, and there was a trace of surprise on his face. Just now, he was careful and didn't go there himself. He only released his avatar. Otherwise, if he had been trapped by the sovereign weapon, maybe his original body would have been refined alive. Interesting. An evil smile appeared on the demon lord's face. He didn't hide his thoughts and said, "This human is not bad. It will be a great honor to have such a demon slave. Little bastard, I will play with you." Buzz, buzz, buzz. The demon lord formed countless avatars again. There were strange beasts, shadows, and all kinds of strange attack patterns. They kept attacking Dong Yang. He knew very well that it took a lot of divine power to activate the sovereign weapon. If one wasn't a great emperor, he couldn't activate it for a long time. Dong Yang wasn't even a lord. How long could he last? When the divine power was used up, wouldn't Dong Yang be a turtle in a jar? It wasn't that the demon lord couldn't kill Dong Yang quickly. He still had many powerful means. But at this moment, he was very interested in Dong Yang. He wanted to take Dong Yang down and make him his demon slave, so he was ready to play slowly. 4 of them broke out, but 2 were injured and couldn't last long. They probably couldn't break through the layers of encirclement and reach the altar. The remaining 2 might go, but as far as he knew, there was still a demon lord there. He wasn't worried at all. That was the truth. It was very difficult for the 4 of them to break out. 2 of them were already injured. There were more demon generals here, and the demon abyss soldiers were densely packed, surrounding them layer by layer. It felt endless. The 4 of them fled separately. After breaking out of the encirclement for 1,000 miles, they rushed north without hesitation. In this situation, life and death were no longer important. The important thing was how to destroy the altar. Hold on. A young elite of the Northern Plains continent was already heavily injured. At this moment, he swallowed dozens of healing medicines and gritted his teeth to hold on. At the juncture of life and death, he had a strong belief to support him, which made him burst out with amazing potential. He had a treasure, which was a square jade butterfly. This jade butterfly flew around him and helped him block many attacks. He roared, completely disregarding his life and death. His speed suddenly increased, and his attack power became several times more ferocious. He rushed forward quickly. The other 3 were the same. Dong Yang helped them block the demon lord, which created a very good opportunity for them. It also gave them a chance to escape. How could they not risk their lives? The 4 of them desperately broke out of the encirclement. After the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, one of them lost his life. He was killed by a demon general using a forbidden technique. The other 3 rushed out for thousands of miles. From a distance, they saw a towering mountain. That mountain was their destination, the location of the altar. The mountain was surrounded by Asmodean warriors as well. But the eyes of the other three lit up with hope. They were only 2,000 miles away from the mountain. Usually, they could get there in the time for a few breaths. However, the way was blocked by Asmodean warriors. If they wanted to get there, they would have to fight their way out. That being said, the three of them were full of confidence. Even though two of them were badly injured, they were confident that they could get to the mountain before they died. As long as they could get there, they could blow up the altar with the thunderbolts of destruction. The altar is right ahead of us. At the same time, thousands of miles to the west of the mountain, Lu Li and the other two arrived. Their way forward was blocked by Asmodean warriors as well. But the three of them were filled with excitement. Granted, there were countless Asmodean warriors and powerful warriors in front of them. But with the three of them working together, there was a 90% chance that they could make it. Hiss. The excitement in Lu Li and the others' eyes did not last long. Above the altar, black fog tumbled over. Then two colossal demons showed up. Chapter 26:43. There was not one Asmodean lord on the altar, but two. The other one was hidden. Outsiders, including the Asmodean lords nearby, did not know about this Asmodean lord. In addition to the Asmodean lord, there was a formation of defense. How could such an important altar not be set up in the Abyss of Doom? If they could build such a powerful altar, then it would not be a problem for them to build some powerful divine patterns of defense. Buzzing. From the altar came out a feeble glow. The glow wandered around the altar like snakes of fire. Soon, the entire mountain was lit up. The glow rose to the sky and formed a white shield that enveloped the entire mountain. We are doomed. In the distance, Dong Yang, the three warriors, Xiang Linglong, and Lu Ling were in despair. That formation was strong. Nobody could crack it anytime soon, let alone destroy it completely. There were so many demon and abyss soldiers here, and so many demon generals. Most importantly, there were two demon masters. These were two demonic lords. Most importantly, the demon master who had just spoken was too strong. It felt unfathomable, so strong that it made people's hearts tremble. Blood Fairy. Without any hesitation, Lu Li told Blood Fairy to go underground from his body at once, and then dash toward the mountain. The divine pattern was too strong. The thunderbolt of destruction would not be able to destroy it. Even if they could blow up the formation with the thunderbolt of destruction, how could they destroy the altar? Therefore, Lu Li made up his mind in an instant. He would let Blood Fairy crack the formation while they would figure out a way to kill the two Asmodean lords. When Blood Fairy cracked the formation, they would destroy the altar. At the same time, Lu Li said to Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong, "Find a way to kill the two Asmodean lords, and then I will figure out a way to crack the formation. When the two Asmodean lords are dead, we will have hope. Do not be afraid of wasting the thunderbolt of destruction. Blast at the Asmodean lords." At the same time, Lu Li sent a message to the three warriors. "You three, find a chance to work with us to kill the two Asmodean lords. Do not be afraid of wasting the thunderbolt of destruction. As long as we can kill the two lords, I am confident that I can crack the formation and destroy the altar. Do you understand?" All right. When the three of them heard the message, they were cheered up. They had been hopeless, but Lu Li had given them a ray of hope. They might not be able to make it out alive, but at the very least, there was a chance that they could crack the formation and destroy the altar. A crazed look appeared in the eyes of the three of them. Now that they had been targeted by two lords, the three of them were prepared to fight to the death. As long as they could kill these two lords, the three of them felt that it would be worth it. Kill. The three of them took out their most powerful magic treasures, released their most powerful divine spells, and took the initiative to rush towards the two lords. The two overlords condescendingly laughed, but they did not rush towards the three of them. After all, the three of them were heavily injured and were not worth the two overlords attacking together. One of them dashed toward Lu Li, and the other one, which was more powerful, dashed toward Lu Li and the other two. Lu Li and the other two were not injured. The fact that the three of them could break through the encirclement and come here without suffering any injuries indicated that they were powerful warriors of the human race. Prepare for battle. Luli put on a solemn expression. He shouted, "Later, I will be the main attacker, and you will support me. If there is a chance, use the divine thunderbolt of destruction to kill this Asmodean lord." This was the first time that Luli had fought against an Asmodean lord. This Asmodean lord could be at the middle stage or even the later stage of the Asmodean lord. His abilities must be appalling. Luli did not know if he could survive, but he had to. Behind him were Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. He didn't want anything to happen to either of them. Xiang Linglong was about to say something when Lu Li had already rushed forward. He used dragon wrestling and heaven armor and soul-devouring skill in his soul as well. He was going all out. He generated the unspeakable talismans in his hands, and they circled around him. As he waved his arms, the unspeakable talismans flew out and smashed away the Asmodean domain warriors and powerful warriors. Buzzing, for the first time, Lu Li used the horn. He blew it as he rushed forward. Invisible ripples spread out. The Asmodean domain warriors in front of him hugged their heads and rolled on the ground. Lu Li's mystical sound formation was already strong. His soul had grown in the Heaven Dao realm, which strengthened his law of mystical sound. Now that he used the horn, the effect was astonishing. Inevitably, Lu Li and Xiang Linglong were affected. That being said, their souls were strong, and they had strong, enchanted souls to protect them. Since they were at the back, the impact was limited. Xiang Linglong took out her white jade fan, and Lu Ling used her bow. She waved her white jade fan. Ice dragons that looked real appeared and whooshed to the sides. Boom, boom, boom. The ice dragons were powerful. All the Asmodean domain warriors that touched them were smashed into pieces. They were not killed one by one, but in groups. Xiang Linglong had absorbed a large amount of lunar water. Her frigid dragon energy had turned into frigid dragon energy. Her abilities had been enhanced. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. On the other side, Lu Ling was doing her best as well. Every time she shot out her bow, she would not just release a dozen swords, but dozens. The sky was filled with light. One Asmodean domain warrior after another was smashed away. The wilderness was cleared. Child's play. The demon master floated over like a gust of wind. He didn't seem to have a physical body at all. Just like the lord that fought Dong Ying, his body disintegrated in midair. Then he turned into a black fog, which condensed into a horrifying beast in midair and rushed towards Lu Li and the other two. Break! Lu Li threw out some austere talismans at the beasts. As the austere talismans and the beasts collided, a horrifying explosion took place. The space nearby was torn apart. The shockwave smashed away many Asmodean domain warriors nearby. Some of them in the front were smashed into pieces. Boom, 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 boom. Xiang Linglong controlled the ice dragons to attack the strange beast phantoms, causing even more terrifying explosions. The nearby Demon Abyss soldiers suffered miserable deaths, and large groups of them were killed. Lu Ling's attack had smashed many beast phantoms as well. However, they realized that there was an endless stream of beast phantoms in the air. Black fog was gathering in the air. As long as there was black fog, the beast phantoms would never stop. Are you trying to consume our divine energy? Or are you trying to play a game of cat and mouse? Lu Li grinned coldly. Lu Li was even happier that the Asmodean Lord did not go all out. Blood Fairy needed time to crack the formation. If Lu Li could have 2 hours, he might not have to risk his life. After Blood Fairy cracked the formation, she could go and destroy the altar. That is right. Lu Li suddenly slapped his forehead. Why do you have to ask Blood Fairy to crack the formation? Wouldn't it be better to just destroy the altar and make it self-destruct? Cracking the formation would be troublesome. It would be much easier to have Blood Fairy modify the altar and make it explode. What was the point of cracking the formation? Master, are you sure? Lu Li sent a message to Blood Fairy, who replied at once. If you just want to destroy the altar and make it explode, it will be a piece of cake. Give me an hour and I can do it. Chapter 2644. Sometimes a person's mind would fall into inertia, especially when the situation was tense. Just now, When Luli saw the two Asmodeans and the powerful formation, his first thought was how to crack it. He did not expect that Blood Fairy would destroy the altar directly. At first, Luli did not want Blood Fairy to destroy the altar. Instead, he wanted to use the Thunderbolt of Destruction, which would save him a lot of trouble. Destroying it was much easier than breaking it open. That altar was filled with complex divine inscriptions. If a single key divine inscription was altered, the entire formation would be damaged. If a few divine inscriptions were altered, it would cause the entire formation to clash with each other, resulting in a huge explosion that would destroy the entire formation. Luli sent a message to Lu Li, Xiang Linglong, and the other three. He told them to hold on for an hour. After that, they would be able to finish the task. They were cheered up. The other three did not want to die with the Thunderbolt of Destruction. They wanted to kill the Asmodean Lord with the Thunderbolt of Destruction. Nobody wanted to die as long as there was a chance of survival. They were young. If they could survive, they would have a bright future. They would become the most influential warriors in the third plane and stand above all. They wanted to stall for time, but the Demon Lord on the other side did not want to stall any longer. This was because the three of them were not particularly outstanding, and he did not want to turn the three of them into his demon slaves. The Asmodean Lord used his move. He generated many avatars. His real body hid in one of the avatars. All of a sudden, he showed up next to a warrior. Then, his real body went into the warrior's body. That warrior trembled. Then, his eyes became blank. A moment later, his interspatial ring and armor came off automatically. He fell down powerlessly. Boom! A warrior from the Asmodean domain swung his axe and hacked at the warrior. With a muffled sound, the warrior's body was cut into pieces. He died without an intact body. Buzzing, that Asmodean Lord's body became a shadow again. This was the most horrifying thing about Asmodean Lords. They could change their bodies at any time, which made them hard to kill. Not only were they strong in physical attacks, but their soul attacks were horrifying as well. They could cultivate both martial arts and spirit, which was freakish. Woo, woo, woo. This demon lord once again released hundreds of mutated beast phantoms and rushed towards the next martial artist. That martial artist's eyes revealed a trace of despair. The martial artist who died just now had about the same battle prowess as him, and both of them were severely injured, so he definitely could not block this demon lord's attack. So be it. This young elite had a resolute face and a head of black hair casually draped behind his head. Although his long robe was stained with blood, his bearing was still extraordinary. A furnace appeared in his hand, and he tossed it into the air, releasing a sky full of flames that scattered in all directions. Before he died, he wanted to kill as many Demon Abyss soldiers as possible and drag some of them down with him. Boom, boom, boom. Two strange beast phantoms whizzed over and struck him, blasting his body away. Before he could even react, a giant demon condensed beside him. The true body of the demon lord was inside. Die! The demon lord said coldly, and the phantom disappeared into the body of this martial artist. The warrior didn't panic. Instead, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It was a very happy smile. Buzz! The divine thunder of destruction appeared in his hand. Without any hesitation, he used his divine power, and the thunder lit up. The divine thunder had a buffer of 2 breaths. Usually, they would have thrown it out immediately. But this martial artist held it tightly in his hand and shouted, "Brother Yongyang, Du Ming is going first. I'll leave the rest to you." Buzz, a black aura rolled out of Du Ming's body. The demon lord sensed danger and wanted to escape immediately. But Du Ming's body suddenly exploded. He had self-destructed. How terrifying was the self-destruction of a 5-calamity cultivator? Maybe it couldn't kill this demon lord, but the space around it would definitely be torn. If the space was torn, how could this demon lord escape? Boom! Boom! 2 earth-shattering explosions rang out, and a huge mushroom cloud soared into the sky. Terrifying shockwaves radiated out in all directions. The thousands of Demon Abyss soldiers closest to him were all ground into meat paste. Countless more Demon Abyss soldiers were sent flying through the air, like broken rocks. The area around them had become a vacuum. Du Meng, the only warrior left, Yang Gang, screamed in pain. He had received Du Meng's message, so he ran away at once. Otherwise, he would be seriously injured, if not dead. Lu Li and the others were thousands of miles away, so they didn't notice at first. Only when they saw the horrifying scene did they realize what was going on. They checked with psychic power at once. The demon lord was gone. The three of them could tell that one of them must have detonated the divine thunder of destruction and perished together with the demon lord. The demon lord's silhouette condensed in midair. He swept a glance over there, and his expression immediately changed. The aura on his body also became tyrannical. Was it because the situation was getting out of control? One of their demon lords was killed? This was like a giant dragon discovering that its companion had been bitten to death by an ant. How could it not be shocked or angry? Die, die, die. The demon lord shouted in midair. You will all die. All of you will die. None of you will live. The demon lord was losing his mind. He was frightened as well. If his companion was dead, it meant that Lu Li and the others could kill him as well. It didn't matter if they could die or not. But if the altar was destroyed, then all of them would die. Therefore, the demon lord decided to kill Lu Li and the others as soon as possible so that nothing could happen to the altar. The demon lord flew up to the sky. The dark haze from all sides was gathering toward him. This world was already filled with dark haze. It was too easy for the demon lord to gather the dark haze. Attack him. Lu Li had a bad feeling. If the demon lord were to use this kind of horrifying attack, none of them would be able to stand it. They would all be killed in an instant. Like the ice dragon, Xiang Linglong released her most powerful fundamental principle. She generated 12 ice dragons and smashed them toward the demon lord. Lu Ling dared not to conceal her strength anymore. She took out her sovereign weapon, a crystal clear green jade bow. This was the sovereign weapon given to her by the flying dragon rebel. Lu Li took out his 7-colored glazed pagoda, which whooshed up. Lu Li exerted all his strength to see if he could seal the demon lord in. At the same time, Lu Li took out his divine thunder of destruction. He detonated it and threw it up. It was pointless to keep the divine thunder of destruction. He might as well use it. As long as the divine thunder of destruction could wound them, they would have a chance to win the fight. Chapter 2645. Boom, 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 boom. The 12 ice dragons, dozens of fire arrows, and Lu Li's thunderbolt of destruction collided in midair, resulting in a devastating explosion. Before Lu Li and the other two could see clearly, they were smashed away by the blast wave. They felt they were hit in the chest. Both Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling spat out blood. Lu Li was the only one who didn't. Even so, he felt his qi and blood were tumbling, and his divine energy was in disorder. In addition to Lu Li and the others, at least 10,000 abyss of Asmodean warriors nearby were smashed away, and 2,000 or 3,000 of them were killed. The Thunderbolt of Destruction was a horrifying artifact. With the addition of the 12 ice dragons and dozens of fire arrows, how could the explosion not be horrifying? A huge black hole appeared in the space, and countless cracks extended in all directions. The sky was like a shattered mirror, and it was extremely terrifying. Is he dead? Yang Gang smashed away several Asmodean realm warriors nearby. He looked at the center of the explosion. Yang Gang suspected that even a warrior of the Asmodean realm could be injured by such a horrifying explosion. It was unlikely that the Asmodean lord was still alive. Ha ha ha. A loud laugh came from the void. Then a huge face emerged in midair. It was the Asmodean lord. He said with a smile, "Do you think it is that easy to kill me? In a situation where I am prepared, even if the power was 10 times stronger, it still wouldn't be able to kill me. You are done. Now it is my turn." The huge face suddenly disappeared. Next, countless black mists condensed in the air, condensing into a huge black dragon. The black dragon swam in the air, and a terrifying aura spread out from them. causing the surrounding atmosphere to become extremely oppressive. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. What happened next shocked Lu Li and the others. All of a sudden, the abyssal demon warriors scattered in all directions. Their eyes were filled with fear, as if the black dragon was going to bring about the end of the world. Swish! The black dragons whooshed down. At the same time, black thunderbolts appeared in the sky. The thunderbolts rained down, enveloping Lu Li and the other two, forming a cage of thunderbolts. Whoosh! Lu Li and the others could sense the horrifying energy contained in the black dragons. They moved to the sides at once when they saw the 3 black dragons coming at them. Boom! 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 The earth trembled. A bottomless pit appeared on the ground. Lu Li and the other 2 were knocked over. Before they could take a breather, the black dragons whooshed down from the sky. Boom! Lu Li and Lu Ling could no longer run away. Each of them was hit by a black dragon. Lu Ling put on a cyan armor to protect her from the horrifying strike. Xiang Linglong also put on a white armor to fend off a black dragon. Lu Ling was the first to be killed by a black dragon. PFF. Lu Li was smashed down. Blood spurted out from his mouth. He didn't have a top-grade armor to protect himself. He had to rely on his physical strength. That being said, his physical defense was strong enough that he didn't suffer serious injuries. He was just hurt by the impact. Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling were bleeding as well. When the black dragon wave came down, they felt a surge of energy had struck their internal organs directly. Inevitably, they were injured. This is my famous world extinguishing myriad dragons wave. You guys don't have to be anxious. Each wave of this world extinguishing myriad dragons wave will be more terrifying than the last. I will slowly make you feel despair, and finally, you'll be blasted into smithereens. The Asmodean Lord's cold voice was heard. More black dragons came down from the sky. Lu Li and the other 2 were trapped in the formation of thunder. There was no way for them to escape. The dragon of devastation was too numerous. The 3 of them could not escape and were hit again and again. Boom! 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 The formation of thunder covered an area with a radius of more than 30 miles. At the moment, a bottomless abyss appeared on the ground. As time went on, the abyss would get deeper and deeper. It was possible that there would be an abyss with a depth of tens of thousands of miles. Actually, there were some Asmodean warriors and 2 Asmodean generals that didn't make it out. Naturally, they were smashed into pieces. The 3 of them tried to attack the formation of thunder and to try to find a way to get out. However, their attacks were ineffective. As soon as they got closer, they sensed a fatal danger. Inside every descending black thunderbolt were lightning arcs. They would be attacked as soon as they got closer. Let me try. Lu Li couldn't stand it anymore. He would be killed sooner or later if he stayed here. If he could break out, then he might have a chance of survival. The black dragons were getting stronger and stronger. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong were spitting out more and more blood. Lu Li was more resistant to thunderbolts. He wanted to see if he could break out of the formation. He moved closer to the edge. Soon, the thunderbolts shot out and entangled Lu Li. This thunderbolt is different from regular thunderbolts. Lu Li trembled. He felt them all over. A surge of strange energy entered his body. He couldn't move at all. A black dragon whooshed down from the sky. Lu Li was smashed away. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong didn't want to give up. They controlled the ice dragons to release fire arrows, trying to attack the Asmodean Lord. However, they didn't know where the Asmodean Lord was hiding. Their attacks couldn't do him any harm. The 3 of them felt their hearts were weighed down. They couldn't escape or attack the Asmodean Lord. They had to wait for death to come. Oh no! On the other side, Yanggong's heart was weighed down as well. He didn't come to save Lu Li and the others. Instead, he charged toward the mountain. He wanted to rescue the besieged. He wanted to see if the Asmodean Lord would attack him when he attacked the defensive formation of the mountain. Would he let Lu Li and the others go? He was overthinking. The Asmodean Lord knew very well how powerful the defensive formation was. He ignored Yangang and continued to attack Lu Li and the others. The strong defense of Lu Li and the others shocked the Asmodean Lord. If it were any other human being, they would have been smashed into pieces. Boom! Right at that moment, there came a loud noise from the south. The sound was familiar. That horrifying blast wave spread over as well. It was the explosion of the thunder of destruction. The south? Young Master Dong Yang? Yang Gang was surprised. Did Dong Yang perish together with the Asmodean Lord? Or did the other two not die? Did they come here as well? Anyone who stands in my way will die. After a moment, a roar came from the south. Then, there was a ray of golden light in the south. Everyone used psychic power to check and saw Dong Yang rushing toward them like an arrow. The second on the rookie list is powerful. Yang Gang couldn't help but exclaim. Dong Yang could come all the way here. What did it mean? It meant that the Asmodean Lord had been killed by him. Even though the Asmodean Lord was killed by the thunder of destruction, the fact that he could kill the Asmodean Lord was a testament to his ability. Dong Yang, Lu Li, and the other two's spirits were lifted. But soon, their spirits dimmed. Dong Yang's thunder of destruction had been used up. What could he do? Even if he had the thunder of destruction, could he kill the Asmodean Lord? Chapter 2646. Dong Yang was strong indeed. At the very least, he was good at seizing opportunities. The explosion of the two thunderbolts of destruction and the Asmodean Lord's wave of destruction had alarmed the Asmodean Lord. It was a good idea to take Dong Yang as a slave. However, if the altar was destroyed, then the Asmodean Lord would die for sure. Therefore, the Asmodean Lord was disturbed, which gave Dong Yang a chance. Dong Yang created a chance and killed the Asmodean Lord with the thunderbolts of destruction. Even though he was wounded, he had a strong armor that shielded him from most of the impact. The first thing he did was naturally to check out the situation and see if the altar had been blown up. When he arrived, he was disappointed. Not only was there no progress, everyone was in danger and could die at any moment. He used psychic power to check Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long. He was struggling. He wanted to save Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long, but reason told him not to. What he should do now was to go with Yang Gang and attack the defense formation outside the mountain to see if they could crack it and destroy the altar. This was not the time to let his emotions affect his decisions. If the altar was not destroyed, then those who had died would have died in vain. Tens of thousands of warriors and powerful warriors would have died in vain as well. More importantly, if the Asmodean Lord was summoned to the abyssal domain, it would be a nightmare for the third heaven. Dong Yang roared and rushed toward the mountain. He didn't even look at Lu Ling, and Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long had lost all hope. Lu Li had never counted on Dong Yang. The only one Lu Li could count on was Blood Fairy. He hoped that Blood Fairy could destroy the altar. By then, the Asmodean Lord would be distracted and Lu Ling and Xiang Ling Long would have a chance to escape. Also, Lu Li had another card up his sleeve, the Blood Evil King. That being said, the Blood Evil King was only a remnant of his soul. How useful he could be and whether he could kill the Asmodean Lord was yet to be determined. Dong Yang dashed toward the altar. The Asmodean Lord did not care. The defense formation was built by one of them. Not even a human emperor could break it in a short time, let alone Dong Yang. Boom, boom, boom. He continued to bombard Lu Li and the other two. The three of them were seriously injured. He figured that in the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, the three of them would be blasted into pieces. By then, he could go and kill Dong Yang and the other two, and then everything would be fine. Boom, boom, boom. On the other side, Dong Yang and Yang Gang attacked frantically. Both of them unleashed their strongest attacks. Dong Yang even took out his imperial weapon and violently bombarded the defensive Grand Formation. However, the defensive power of the Great Array Formation was too strong. The bombardment from the two of them only caused the light of the Magic Array Formation to flicker slightly. They couldn't even cause the Great Array Formation to fluctuate. Time passed bit by bit. Exquisite Long was the first to give in. After all, her family's foundation wasn't as strong as a great emperor's family's, so the armor they gave her was a bit inferior. At this moment, Her battle armor had already exploded, and her body was badly mutilated. Her fairy-like beauty had now become battered and exhausted, as if she was covered in blood. "Xiao!" Lu Li rushed over and said, "Ling Long, I will put you into my interspatial artifact. Go in and tend to your wounds. Don't give up. We can survive." Xiang Linglong wanted to say no, but when she saw Lu Li's dark eyes and the concern in his eyes, her heart trembled. She gave in. Lu Li's separated heaven bead glowed, and Xiang Linglong disappeared. Lu Li moved on. When he was close to Lu Ling, he said, "Sis, come in my interspatial artifact. Don't waste time. When I cannot hold on any longer, you can come out and put me into the interspatial artifact. We will take turns. That way, we can buy more time." Lu Li's words were reasonable, so Lu Ling didn't say no. She was put into the separated heaven bead. But the Asmodean Lord snorted and said, "Punk, how long can you last?" Whoosh, 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 those black dragons had been attacking the three of them separately. But now, they were all targeting at Lu Li. This time, Lu Li really could not run away. He was surrounded by black dragons. How could he escape? Boom, boom, boom. The black dragons were getting stronger and stronger. Every time, a surge of energy would surge into Lu Li's body along with the black dragons, destroying his physical body and source of life. Lu Li's physical body was strong indeed. That being said, this was an attack from a powerful warrior of the Lord Realm. It was remarkable that he could stand it for so long. Many of his bones were shattered. He had the support of the fighting dragon skill. When the time was up, he would be smashed into pieces. Boom, boom, boom. On the other side, Dong Yang and Yang Yang were attacking the shield like crazy. After a while, they had lost all hope. They were experienced and knowledgeable. They knew very well that they could not break the shield even with the thunderbolt of destruction. At this moment, they were thinking of retreating. There was no hope. Staying here was pointless except to throw away their lives. If so, they must preserve themselves. At least, they could kill more abyssal demon warriors when they got out. "Let's go, Yang Yang." Dong Yang saw that Lu Li was covered in blood. He sighed. It was not that he felt sorry for Lu Li, but that Ling Long and Lu Ling, the two beauties, were going to be buried here. Alas! Yang Yang sighed as well. He was not feeling sorry for Lu Li and the other two, but for the failure of the mission. Of the 10 most powerful elites, apart from Lu Li and Yang Yang, all had a chance to escape. If the altar was not destroyed, the abyssal demon might summon the Asmodean Lord. By then, the entire third heaven would face a catastrophe. Boom, boom, boom. Dong Yang began to break out from the other side. He was exhausted, but for the sake of his own life, he had to fight his way out. He had a piece of artifact that could teleport him out. That being said, it must be done without interference. If the abyssal demon warriors were to interfere, he would die a miserable death. Buzzing. Right at that moment, the entire mountain suddenly shook violently. The defense formation at the top of the mountain shook violently as well. This strange change not only stopped the Dongya Eagles and Yang Yang, but also refreshed the spirit of Lu Li, who was on the verge of death. Blood Fairy had succeeded. The altar was about to be destroyed. Even if they all had to die here, their deaths would not be in vain. The altar was glowing brighter, and the trembling was getting stronger. Rays of light shot up to the sky. Everyone nearby, including the abyssal demon warriors, felt suffocated. No, no. The demon lord roared in fear. He could feel that there was a problem with the altar, and it was a huge problem. This altar might explode and be completely destroyed. The Asmodean Lord was involved in the construction of the altar. Otherwise, he would not have been asked to stay here. The Asmodean Lord was familiar with the altar. Under such circumstances, the altar was in danger and could explode at any time. What was more, in order to build the altar, the abyssal demon used many precious materials. The materials had been collected for hundreds of thousands of years. Many of the materials could only be found once. In other words, if the altar was destroyed, the abyssal demon warriors might not have the chance to build another one. By then, the Asmodean lords would burn him alive in anger. Whoosh! Chapter 2647. Ha. Luli put on a cold grin as the Asmodean Lord dashed over. So what if the Asmodean Lord could stop Blood Fairy from destroying the altar? He had to open the defensive array. That way, everyone would have a chance to rush up the altar and destroy it. Ling Long and Lu Ling had not used up all the thunderbolts they had. This is a good chance. Dong Yang and Yanggong's eyes glowed. The Asmodean Lord dashing toward the altar gave them a chance to fight. They did not know what was going on inside the altar, but this was a good chance. Let's go. The two of them did not hesitate. Dong Ying smashed the nearby demon abyss soldiers away and quickly rushed toward the altar. The Asmodean Lord had flown away. Naturally, the black dragon was gone. The thunderbolts collapsed as well. Whoosh! Even though Lu Li was injured, he dared not to linger for 1 second. He flew up and dashed toward the altar. This was such a good chance. He must make sure that nothing went wrong and that the altar would be destroyed. Buzzing, the formation disappeared. The Asmodean Lord dashed indirectly into the altar. Clearly, he wanted to kill Blood Fairy and stabilize the altar. Blood Fairy, watch out. Lu Li sensed that the Asmodean Lord had entered the altar. He shouted at once. Blood Fairy did not leave at once. Instead, she said, Master, something is wrong with the altar. Run. Lu Li wanted to tell Blood Fairy to leave, and then let Lu Ling out so that she could destroy the altar with the thunderbolts. Lu Li was confused by Blood Fairy's words. He did not know whether to advance or retreat. Whoosh! Yang and Dong Yang dashed over. However, none of the Asmodean warriors dared to fly up. Not even the Asmodean warriors dared to come up, as if this was a forbidden place. Lu Li, what are you waiting for? Blast the altar with the thunderbolts of destruction. Dong Yang yelled at Lu Li. He launched an attack of his own and smashed at the altar. However, before his attack could hit the altar below, many parts of the altar suddenly exploded. It was like a spark starting a prairie fire, and the altar exploded piece by piece. Xiao! A ray of red light flew out from underground and rushed into Lu Li's body. Without any hesitation, Lu Li shouted, Run! Boom! As soon as Lu Li finished his words, the entire altar exploded. An ordinary explosion would have a terrifying shockwave, but this explosion did not. Instead, a huge black hole appeared in the center of the explosion, and a terrifying suction force came from the black hole. Hee, the Demon King's cold and crazed voice rang out. You bastards actually destroyed our demon altar. I can't kill you, but I won't let you off even if I die. You can go to our demon abyss for a tour. Ha. Not good. Lu Li, Dong Yang, and the others felt their souls tremble because they felt the space around them was shaking violently. They could not move at all. Lu Li's separation bee glowed. Lu Ling, Xiang Linglong, and even the daughter of Saint Emperor were shaken out. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong must have been tending to their wounds. As soon as they came out, they were shocked. Xiang Linglong shouted, Lu Li, what is it? We are in big trouble. Lu Li forced a smile. The suction force from the black hole in the center of the altar was growing stronger. Stones from all sides were sucked in. Lu Li and the others flew toward the black hole. What? Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong were frightened. Out of instinct, they grabbed Lu Li's arms. Blood Fairy dashed out from Lu Li's body and entered the body of the daughter of Saint Emperor. She tried to control the daughter of Saint Emperor to take Lu Li and the others away. The suction force was so strong that Lu Li and the others could not break free. The daughter of Saint Emperor could not move either. Dong Yang and Yang tried their best, but they could not free themselves. They could only watch as they flew toward the black hole. What is in the black hole? Xiang Linglong asked, scared. Lu Li explained with a forced smile, I don't know the details, but I think it is that Demon King's doing. Maybe we need to go to the Abyss of Demons. Abyss of Demons? Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling turned pale. For humans, the Abyss of Demons was no different from hell. Could they survive if they were sucked into the Abyss of Demons? Even if they could, would they have the chance to go back to the third plane? At least we have destroyed the altar. Dong Yang breathed in relief. As long as the mission was accomplished, going to the abyss of demons was not a big deal. This time, before they came, they were prepared to die. Dying in the abyss of demons would be worthwhile. Whoosh! Lu Li, Yu Huaxin, and the daughter of Saint Emperor were the first to be sucked into the abyss of demons, followed by Dong Yang and Yang Yang. They disappeared into the black hole, and then the black hole disappeared. Boom! A moment later, the altar exploded again. The entire mountain was leveled to the ground. The warriors of the abyss of demons stood around the mountain in confusion, not knowing what to do. It is gone. Thousands of miles away, there were 7 or 8 scouts. They were the best of the best. Naturally, they were here to observe the situation so that they could send a message back at once, so that the Allied forces could make arrangements accordingly. I will go and make sure. A scout rushed away and came back after the time for 1 incense stick to burn. He said with excitement, "The mountain is gone. Young Master Dong Yang must have made it." Bang! Without any hesitation, the scouts crushed their jade talismans at the same time to tell the people outside that the altar had been destroyed and the armies outside could retreat for now. Right, were young Master Dong Yang and the others. Another scout suddenly remembered something and asked. The scout that went to check was surprised. He thought about it and said, "It seems that it is quiet over there. There is no more fighting?" "No more fighting?" The scouts looked awful. There were hundreds of thousands of warriors from the abyss of demons over there. Dong Yang, Lu Li, and the others had destroyed the altar. They must run away. To run away, they must kill their way through the army of the abyss of demons. If there was no fighting, did it mean that everyone was dead? Let's go and have a look. The scouts could not sit still anymore. The altar had been destroyed, and the message had been sent back. Their mission was accomplished. It didn't matter if they died here. 7 or 8 scouts sneaked toward the altar in several teams. They were the best of the best and were good at covering their tracks. Most of the warriors from the abyss of demons were near the altar. Therefore, the scouts could reach a place 3,000 miles away from the altar easily. After investigating for a full 2 hours, all the scouts once again gathered in one place. Everyone looked awful. Based on what they had seen, there was no one alive over there. They were all warriors from the abyss of demons. The hundreds of thousands of warriors from the abyss of demons were standing on the spot, numb and motionless. It meant that either Dong Yang, Lu Li, and the others had been captured, or they were all dead. Young Master Dong Yang, Lady Dragon Rebel Antelope, Lady Xiang Linglong, if you are dead, please have a safe journey. The third heaven will not forget you. All the people will not forget you. Chapter 2648. Boom, 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 boom. On a huge mountain, a crack suddenly appeared. Following that, people fell from the sky. There were 6 of them in total. 5 of the 6 had fainted. Only a beautiful lady landed on the ground, as if nothing had happened. Roar, roar. From the woods came a loud roar. Following that, a beast with spikes all over its body came roaring. Before the beast got close to its red mouth, Lu Li could smell a foul smell. Bang! The beautiful lady on the ground made her move. She flew out in a blur and landed a slap on the beast. The beast was torn apart. Blood and flesh spilled out and rained down. Roar, roar. Many giant beasts rushed over from all directions, but the beautiful woman easily slapped them with her palm every time. The giant beasts that got close to her were smashed to pieces one by one. The minced meat splattered all over the ground, and fresh blood dyed the nearby ground red. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, a red-haired man woke up. He opened his eyes and felt something strange on his face. He reached out and found it was a piece of minced meat. "What is this? Where is this?" Dong Yang stood up. He saw the ground covered in corpses and the daughter of Holy King standing there silently. For a moment, he was confused. Out of instinct, he put up his guard. Well, this seems to be Lu Li's puppet. Dong Yang came to his senses soon. He looked around. Xiang Linglong, Lu Li, and Lu Ling were fighting. Yang Gang was on the other side. Lu Li? Out of instinct, Dong Yang was filled with killing intent. Blood Fairy sensed it. She controlled the daughter of Holy King to stand in front of Lu Li and the others. Dong Yang snorted. Before he could do anything, Lu Ling opened her eyes. Lu Ling stood up in a hurry after the time for 2 breaths. She put Xiang Linglong and Lu Li into her interspatial artifact at once. Xiang Linglong's injuries were serious and Lu Li's were worse. Lu Ling, on the other hand, was the least injured. Lu Ling used psychic power to check the surroundings. Soon, she was surprised. She turned to Dong Yang and said, "Young Master Dong Yang, this does not look like the abyss of devils." Dong Yang also had this doubt. They appeared in a big mountain. The surroundings were picturesque, the ancient trees towered into the sky, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was rich. It looked like a place in the third heaven, not like the demonic abyss at all. Of course, neither of them had been to the demonic abyss before, so they did not know what it looked like. However, the area that the demonic abyss occupied was filled with rolling black fog and dancing qi. This place looked exactly like it. After a moment of observation, Yang Gang woke up as well. Lu Ling thought about it and said, "We are all injured. Whether this is the abyss of demons or not, we must at least heal up. Otherwise, if we encounter an enemy, we can only wait to be captured." Miss Ling is right. Dong Ying nodded slightly and found a place to sit down. Yang Gong's injuries were quite serious, and although he had a stomach full of questions, it was not a good time to ask too many questions. Lu Ling was also sitting with her legs crossed to heal her wounds. However, she was secretly on guard against Dong Ying. Just now, when she was conscious, she sensed Dong Ying's killing intent towards Lu Li. Dong Ying was the strongest here. On the off chance that he could take her down, Lu Li would be in danger. Blood Fairy controlled the Holy King's daughter to stand in front of Lu Ling. If Dong Ying were to make a move, he must knock the Holy King's daughter away so that Lu Ling could have time to react. Dong Ying did not do anything rash. He did not want Lu Ling to dislike him. Also, he was afraid that this was the abyss of demons. In case of danger, at least they could look out for each other. Therefore, it was better not to fall out with each other if possible. After a while, Xiang Linglong woke up. Lu Ling told her to tend to her wounds first. Xiang Linglong trusted Lu Ling so much that she sat down to tend to her wounds without asking any questions. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, Lu Li woke up. Lu Ling explained to him, but Lu Li insisted on coming out. Many of his bones were broken. That being said, his body was strong. Physical injuries were not a big deal to him, and they did not affect his abilities. When Lu Li came out, he used the Trace of Tao and used psychic power to check. Soon, he was shocked. This did not look like the abyss of demons. Had they gone back to the third plane? Was there something wrong with the altar? Did they just open the portal and travel across space? If that was the case, then it would save them the trouble of teleporting back using treasures. Let me tend my wounds first. Lu Li thought for a while. He took out 2 elixirs and sat down to tend to his wounds. They were all powerful warriors, and they all had the best elixirs. Therefore, they recovered quickly. Lu Li, in particular, was almost recovered in just over 4 hours. Lu Ling was a member of the Dragon Rebel race. Her body was strong, and she could recover quickly. As for Dong Ying, he was faster. Since he was not seriously injured, Gang Yang would need some time. "Master, that red-haired man tried to kill you when you were unconscious," Blood Fairy said. Lu Li narrowed his eyes. He put away the Saint King's daughter quietly and asked Lu Ling, "How is Linglong's wound?" "Much better. She will need another couple of hours," Lu Ling explained. Lu Li thought for a moment, then turned to Dong Yang and said, "How about we split up and have a look?" Lu Li did not want to go with Dong Yang. For one thing, it was annoying. For another, Lu Li had to be on guard against Dong Yang in case Dong Yang would ambush him. If this was the abyss of demons, they would still die if they went together. But if it was not the abyss of demons, then they would be safe. In that case, they might as well go their separate ways. Lu Ling understood what Lu Li meant. She did not like to have a fly following her. She nodded and said, "Young Master Dong Yi, you and young Master Yang will go to the south. Lu Li and I will go to the north. We will go back and meet up here if something goes wrong. What do you think?" "Sure." Dong Ying was angered. Clearly, Lu Ling did not like him. He, the second on the list, was going with Lu Li instead of going with her. Let's go. Dong Ying was a proud man. He waved his hand and took Gang Yang to the south. He did not lose his mind. He flew to the abyss of demons directly. Let's go. Lu Li and Lu Ling went to the north. They restrained their qi and energy. Lu Ling didn't even dare to release her psychic power too ostentatiously. Lu Li's trace of Tao would be more effective than hers. Roar, roar, roar. After a while, they ran into many beasts with spikes. Lu Ling wanted to take action, but Lu Li made the first move. He released the law of sound and knocked out the beasts one by one. Don't kill them, Lu Li said to Lu Ling, and she understood. By knocking them out, there would be fewer traces. It would be easy for them to be tracked if they killed their way out. The two of them moved very quickly. This mountain was really big. After walking for an hour, they actually walked out of the mountain. Along the way, they didn't run into any other beasts. All of them had spikes and were only as powerful as warriors of the fourth tribulation. They stood on a cliff, looking into the plains in the distance. They were shocked because they saw a blurry figure in the distance. It was a huge city. If it was just a huge city, the two of them wouldn't be so shocked. What shocked them was there were many flying beasts above the huge city. Those beasts were over 100 zhang long. Although they looked different, they all had wings. Hundreds of vicious beasts were slowly flying above the city, giving the two of them the feeling that the city was a paradise for vicious beasts. Someone is here. This is not the abyss of demons, Lu Li suddenly yelled. He saw some people on the back of a beast, and they looked just like them. If there were people here, then this was not the abyss of demons. Were they really still in the third heaven? This doesn't look like the third heaven either. Chapter 2649. The landscape, the climate, and the environment here gave Lu Ling the feeling of being in the third heaven. But the flying beasts gave Lu Ling a strange feeling. Warriors at the third heaven did not have the habit of riding beasts. They usually rode chariots and battleships. It would be fine if they were regular flying beasts. But Lu Ling sensed that the beasts ahead were strong. Some of them were as powerful as warriors of the fifth tribulation. To tame beasts that were as powerful as warriors of the fifth tribulation as mounts was a difficult task. Not even the average lord could do this. Would a powerful lord do such a thing? It was not like he had nothing better to do. The city in front of them was not particularly large, but there were hundreds of beasts wandering above. It was a strange scene. If this were a city in the third heaven, this scene would have been known to the world. Lu Li felt something was off as well. The beasts seemed to be hovering above the city freely. There was no one controlling them. If there were no people, it would be a paradise for beasts. Even if the beasts were domesticated, they would not be allowed to roam freely in the air. What if they hurt people? Whoosh! A beast was flying over from a distance. Lu Li and Lu Ling retreated for thousands of feet and hid in a forest. Lu Ling was afraid to use psychic power, while Lu Li used the trace of Great Path to sense. It was a huge blackbird. The bird's wings were at least 2,000 feet long when spread out, like a dark cloud. More than 100 people sat on the back of the bird. There was a white shield on the back of the bird. A strand of psychic power came down and scanned Lu Ling and Lu Li. But the bird did not pay much attention to them. The bird whooshed by and soon disappeared into the distance. Lu Ling did not have the courage to use psychic power, but Lu Li could sense clearly through the trace of Great Tao. He could see everyone's appearance clearly. He pulled a long face, and his eyes were filled with confusion. He could not figure it out. Lu Ling frowned and asked, Lu Li, what is it? This is not the abyss of demons, Lu Li said with certainty. Then he added, this is not the third heaven either. We have come to an unknown world. Lu Ling was alarmed as well. She asked, how can you be so sure? There were more than 100 people on that big bird just now. Half of them were fifth tribulation experts, and one of them should be a lord. I didn't understand what they were saying, but if I'm not wrong, it should be the common ancient language. Ancient common language. Lu Ling frowned. Nobody in the third heaven spoke the ancient language anymore. Even the 10 ancient races like her had stopped speaking it a long time ago. Just then, Out of the 100 or so people that passed by, there was a lord. This meant that this was definitely not a small world, or else there would not be so many experts. Moreover, there was a spiritual will that had probed them just now, but this person did not care about the two of them at all. This meant that this was not a small world, otherwise they would have been attacked long ago. Could this really be another strange big world? The question was, why they never heard of such a big world other than the third heaven. Just how big was this world? As big as the third heaven? Didn't the demon lord say that he would send them to the demonic abyss? Why didn't they arrive at the demonic abyss, but in such a strange world instead? Could they go back? This was what worried Lu Li and Lu Ling the most, especially Lu Li. He had a big family in the second heaven. His family, his lover, and his roots were there. Don't worry. Lu Ling thought about it for a while. She took out her veil and covered her face. She said, Lu Li, I have learned some ancient languages in the Dragon Rebel Valley. I will go to the city and have a look. Can you wait here? No. Lu Li refused decisively. I will go with you. I won't say anything. You go and negotiate. They were unfamiliar with this place. Who could tell if there were any dangers? Also, among the more than 100 people, there was a Lord Realm warrior. How many lords were there in the city? Lu Li didn't want to take the risk. Even if he had to die, he wanted the three of them to die together. Lu Ling didn't say anything else since Lu Li insisted. She was about to fly down when Lu Li suddenly said, Let's go around the city and see if we can run into anyone. It will be safer if we can find out the situation outside the city. Once they entered the city, they would be at the mercy of others. Lu Li didn't want to take the risk and go into a strange and dangerous place. They started to run around the city from a distance. Unfortunately, they didn't see anyone after they went around the city. It seemed that everyone was in the city and none had come out. Chirp, on their way, they did see some flying beasts leaving the city and some flying beasts arriving at the city. Those beasts would fly over from the sky, suffocating Lu Li and Lu Ling. After a few more rounds, Lu Li and Lu Ling stopped in disappointment. There seemed to be no one outside the city. Either they left the city and went to the distance to have a look, or they had to take the risk and go into the city. Safety first. I suggest we take a walk in the distance. It doesn't matter if we have to take a detour. There can't be only cities and no tribes. Even if there's only a city, there can't be no one in the city. Lu Li decided not to take the risk after some thoughts. This place might not be the third heaven, so it would be more dangerous. Lu Ling was a beauty. If someone like Ling Long came out, it would be even more troublesome. It was better to be careful. Sure, Lu Ling nodded. This was not the abyss of demons. For now, there was no danger. There was no hurry. They could take a look around first. They ran into the distance. They didn't choose a path. They just went wherever they wanted. On their way, they entered a mountain. Once again, they ran into many beasts in groups. Fortunately, the beasts were not strong. They could only be as strong as warriors of the fourth tribulation realm. Lu Ling didn't even have to do anything. Lu Li used the law of sound to knock all the beasts out. After traveling for more than 2 hours, the two of them stood on a tall mountain and saw another city. Similarly, this city was filled with flying ferocious beasts, soaring and circling in midair. This is strange. Keep going. Lu Li refused to believe it. He circled around the city twice and then carried her on. 6 hours later, they saw the third city. It was the same as before. Hundreds of ferocious beasts were flying in the sky. They were almost certain that this was not the third heaven. Otherwise, such a strange scene would have been known to the world. There would be no news about it. Buzzing, Lu Ling let Xiang Ling Long out when she was almost healed. She was surprised to see the scene as well. She was even more surprised after hearing Lu Ling and Lu Li's explanation. Let's go. Let's take a look. Lu Li waved his hand and led them on their way around the city. According to their agreement, they were supposed to go back and meet up with Yang Gang. But Lu Li had no intention of going with Yang Gang. He wanted to go their separate ways. Whoosh! After running for an hour, a massive beast flew over from the distance. It looked like a golden-winged rock, and its entire body shone with a dazzling light. This beast was also very fast. Just a moment ago, it was still tens of thousands of kilometers away, but in the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of them. Lu Li and the other two hid in the forest at once. There would be psychic power detected from above. Hiding or not wouldn't make much difference, but hiding would make them appear low-key, indicating that they were making concessions. In the past, Lu Li and Lu Ling ran into several flying beasts, and they were detected by psychic power as well. But the beasts just passed by and didn't pay any attention to them. They thought it would be the same this time. Unexpectedly, a surge of psychic power came and the beasts stopped. No, something is wrong. Chapter 2650. Lu Li and the other two checked with psychic power. There were more than a dozen young ladies and an old lady sitting on the ferocious beasts. It was this old lady who was checking with psychic power. The young ladies were all beautiful and elegant. Clearly, they were disciples of major families. All of them are at the fifth tribulation. Lu Li and the other two looked at each other, speechless. Were there so many powerful warriors in the world? Could they run into a group of warriors at the fifth tribulation and a lord at random? Whoosh! The shield flickered and then disappeared. Then, the silver-haired old lady came down with more than a dozen young ladies. They spread out and surrounded Lu Li and the other two. All of them stared at Lu Li with hostility. Lu Li was confused. What were the old lady and the silver-haired lady doing? He had never interacted with them before. So why were these people staring at him with hostility? And yen% and hashtag, the old lady spoke. She did not speak fast, but Lu Li and the other two felt it was like they were listening to a book from heaven. The language sounded like the ancient language. When Lu Li was in the world of barbarians, Recluse Coal Mountain once sent someone who was proficient in the ancient language to communicate with them. Lu Li could tell that the language sounded similar. Lu Li turned to Lu Ling. She said she knew some, so he wanted to ask her what the old lady was talking about. Lu Li looked over and saw that Lu Ling was confused as well. I don't know either, Lu Ling said. They don't seem to be speaking the ancient language. Instead, it sounds like a language from ancient times. I don't understand. Lu Li looked at Xiang Linglong, who shook her head, indicating that she didn't understand. Xiang Linglong was scared. She moved closer to Lu Li. She had a feeling that these people were up to no good. And times% hashtag at yen% times. The old lady spoke again, and this time in a harsh tone. She pointed at Lu Li and then smiled at Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong and waved at them in a friendly manner. What is this crazy lady trying to do? Lu Li was confused. Why was the old lady so mean to him, but so kind to Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong? Did he have to be treated differently because he was a man? Since Xiang Linglong and Lu Ling could not understand, they ignored the old lady. The old lady mumbled for a while. Seeing that the two did not respond, she suddenly reached out to Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. What are you doing? Like an eagle protecting its young, Lu Li released the dragon wrestling skill and the heaven armor skill at once. He tried to push the old lady's hand away. A glint of light flickered in the old lady's eyes. Then she waved her hand, creating many shadows. Lu Li felt his vision blurred, and then the hand landed on his chest. Bang! Lu Li felt like he had been hit by a mountain. He was smashed away and knocked down many trees along the way. Blood gushed out his mouth. This palm strike was so powerful that it injured his internal organs. Lu Li, Lu Ling, and Xiang Linglong were panicking. They took out their imperial weapons, ready to risk their lives. All of a sudden, a pagoda appeared in the old lady's hand. She waved her hand, and the pagoda exerted a suction force. Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong could not stand it and were sucked into the pagoda. Sis Linglong. Seeing this, Lu Li's eyes turned red. He roared like an enraged beast. Many years ago, in the Wuling County of the Heaven Reverse Universe, he watched as Lu Ling was taken away with his own eyes. This time, he would not allow himself to be separated from Lu Ling again unless he died. He took out a soft sword and a horn. At the same time, he sent a message to the Blood Evil Emperor. Evil Emperor, please help me. The Blood Evil Emperor gave no reply. Luli was just about to blow the horn when the old lady dashed over and slapped Luli on the forehead. Luli felt his soul trembled. He was smashed into a mountain. Then he blacked out and passed out. The old lady moved away. Killing intent rose in her eyes. She took out a sword and stabbed at Luli, who was buried in the mountain. Luli had passed out, but she was still going to take action. Clearly, she wanted to kill Luli. However, right at that moment, the bead of soul on Luli's waist glowed. A surge of cold and gloomy energy spread out. The old lady paused and then stepped back quickly. The old woman waved her hand, and the group of people flew up to the back of the great golden-winged rock. Next, a barrier of light appeared, and the great golden-winged rock flapped its arms, transforming into a beam of light that shot into the distance. It did not take long before it disappeared into the distant sky. The shadow around Luli disappeared. Everything quieted down. Luli was the only one buried in the rocks. Time moved on. 6 hours later, Luli slowly woke up. Out of instinct, he used psychic power. Soon, he dashed out from the rocks and flew up to the sky. Then, he used psychic power to check the surroundings. "Sis, Linglong, where are you?" After a while, Luli shouted. He even used Dragon Roar. His voice spread to an area with a radius of thousands of miles. His voice echoed in the air, but nobody answered him. "Stop shouting." A voice came to his mind. "Your sister and that girl have been taken away. They are far away. It is pointless to shout." "Lord, evil spirit." Luli used psychic power to check the beat of soul and asked, "Why don't you help me? Do you know how important my sister is to me? If anything happens to her, You don't want to live anymore, do you?" The blood evil sovereign said coldly, "If you want to die, you can kill yourself with a palm strike now. A man of 7 feet should have an indomitable spirit. What kind of man are you? Do you want to squat down and pee?" Blood evil spirit's merciless words calmed Luli down a bit. Taking a deep breath, Luli forced himself to calm down. He asked, "Lord Evil Spirit, will my sister and Linglong be in danger?" "Not for now," Blood Evil Spirit explained. "They should be from the Holy Maiden sect. I did not help you because this sect is strong. It is said that they have 3 warriors of the great Emperor realm. If I dare to make a move, my remnant soul won't be able to escape, and you won't be able to escape death." Holy Maiden sect? Luli was surprised. He asked at once, "Lord Evil Spirit, do you know where this place is? Do you know much about this place?" "Not really. I have never been here before," Blood Evil Spirit replied. "This should be the endless ruins of divinity. An old friend of mine once came here by mistake. He was lucky enough to escape and told me about this place." "What kind of place is the endless ruins of divinity?" Luli blinked in confusion and asked, "How come I have never heard of it?" "There are many places you have never heard of." Blood Evil Spirit sneered and said, "This place is similar to the world in the 3rd heaven. There are billions of universes in the 1st heaven and tens of thousands in the 2nd heaven. Naturally, the 3rd heaven has more than our world." Chapter 2651. Not even dregs. This statement weighed heavily on Luli. Based on what he had sensed along the way, he believed that the blood evil emperor was telling the truth. If there were so many lords in a random city, then the Emperor Realm warriors here must be worthless. Right. Luli thought of something and asked, "Are there any saint emperors in this world?" "Of course." The blood evil emperor gave a firm answer. He said, "As a matter of fact, there used to be many saint emperors in our universe, but most of them died in the war against the abyss of demons. Later on, for some reason, it became harder and harder for saint emperors to emerge. If the endless ruins of divinity didn't go through the same tragic battles as we did, then there must be many saint emperors." Luli began to understand. The entire world was actually a pyramid divided into layers. At the bottom was the 1st heaven, where there were many universes as well. There were fewer at the 2nd heaven and only dozens at the 3rd heaven. Based on this calculation, there were only 10 realms in the 4th heaven, 3 or 5 at the 5th heaven, only 1 or 2 at the 6th heaven. The 7th heaven was the top of the pyramid, and there was only 1 universe. For some reason, all the universes above the fourth heaven collapsed. The dozens of universes at the third heaven lost their connection. The universes at the third heaven were not connected, but they could all go to the fourth heaven? Wait, is the abyss of demons a universe at the third heaven? Luli thought of something. He asked the blood evil emperor, and the latter gave him a firm answer. Yes, it is a universe at the third heaven, and it is the one closest to us. You came to the endless ruins of divinity because there is something wrong with the altar. The blood evil emperor added after some thoughts. That spirit of yours changed the runes on the altar, and then the Asmodean Lord changed the runes by force, which caused the altar to have a big problem. You are lucky to be able to come to the endless ruins of divinity alive. Usually, when there is a problem with the teleportation runes, you will be strangled by the power of space. Let's not talk about this. Luli shook his head and asked, Evil Emperor, can you tell me more about that holy lady? What should I do to save my sister and Linglong? Actually, I'm not sure, but judging from their actions, it seems likely. The blood evil sovereign said, My old friend didn't talk about the endless god ruins in detail, but this female holy sect talked about it in detail. This sect was made up entirely of women, and if they saw any good seedlings, they would immediately take them away. They hated men who weren't faithful, or who went back on their word, or who hurt a woman's feelings. Every year, they killed countless heartless men. To put it bluntly, this saintly goddess sect is a feminist sect, which is an anti-male sect formed by a group of crazy women who were hurt by love. It's said that this sect was suppressed many times when it was founded. After all, there's a problem with their doctrine, which is to kill all the unfaithful men in the world. The endless divine ruins was originally a place where men ruled, so this sect was naturally oppressed by many large sects and powers. This sect was almost annihilated many times, until a peerless expert appeared. She was an extraordinary woman with unparalleled strength. She became the second strongest expert in the endless god ruins, and the Saintess sect became one of the strongest sects here. I can roughly understand what that person just said. He means that your sister and Xiang Linglong are heaven-defying talents. Such peerless geniuses must join their sections. She also said that men are unreliable. She wants to kill you so that she can cut off their mortal bonds, so that she can focus on seeking the Tao. I didn't do anything because the energy in my remnant soul is running out. Even if I could help you kill this powerful warrior, it would be difficult for you in the future. If they were really from the Saintess sect, and I killed them, I can promise that my remnant soul and you will not live for more than a month. So, I just scared her away and saved your life. Luli calmed down after the blood evil sovereign finished his words. Luli knew very well that the energy in the remnant soul of the blood evil sovereign was running out. Therefore, he could not blame the blood evil sovereign. Luli said nothing. He looked solemn. If what the blood evil sovereign said was true, then it would be a fool's dream for him to save Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. The Saintess sect had 3 warriors of the great emperor realm, and there might be more saint kings. Otherwise, how could this old lady be so arrogant? She wanted to kill Lu Li when she saw a promising seedling? Don't overthink it. Let that goblin of yours build some ruins. The blood evil sovereign said again, if this is the endless ruins, when night falls and you cannot find a safe place, you will die a miserable death. Do you know why there is no one outside the city? That is because at night outside the city, those below the Lord realm can die easily. The blood moons here can drive people crazy. Blood moons? Crazy? Luli frowned and asked, what's going on? Lord of Evil Sovereign, what kind of rune field should I build? According to my old friend, at night, there will be 12 blood moons. The blood moons have a strange power that can make people's blood boil. They can make people bloodthirsty and lose their minds. There are ferocious beasts everywhere in the wilderness. Once they lose their minds, you can imagine the outcome. Okay, the sun was about to set. Luli could not waste any more time. He dug a cave in a mountain and went underground for thousands of miles. Then he asked Blood Fairy to build all kinds of runes. Don't be hasty. The blood evil sovereign saw that Luli was still sitting in the cave with his legs crossed. The blood evil sovereign said, "You should be thankful that you were not teleported to the abyss of devils or killed by the force of space. You were separated, but at least you are still alive. As long as you are alive, there's hope, right?" "Yes." Li's eyes glowed. At least, Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong's lives would not be in danger at the Holy Girl sect. As long as they were alive, there was hope that they could reunite and go back to the third plane. Since that old friend of the blood evil sovereign could go back, there was hope that they could go back as well. Night was coming. Blood Fairy had finished 2 runes. Li used the trace of Tao to sense the situation outside. If there were 12 blood moons in the sky, then this place would be the endless ruins for sure. The ones that took Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong away would probably be from the Holy Girl sect. Blood moon. After a moment, Li sensed a huge blood-red moon rising in the sky to the west. His heart skipped a beat. A moment later, the second blood moon rose up. Li was even more excited. He could not tell whether it was because Blood Fairy's runes or because he was in the cave, but the blood moon did not affect him at all. Not only was he not bloodthirsty or violent, but he was also calm. The third, the fourth, the fifth, at the 12th blood moon, Li was sure that he was in the endless ruins. Finally, he felt something was not right. Chapter 2652. Blood Emperor didn't help Li. He wanted to see if Li would lose his mind. This was a kind of trial for Li as well. Li's murderous intent grew stronger. He began to tremble, but he tried to control himself. Impressive. After a while, Li took a deep breath and closed his eyes. His mind was filled with lingering fear. Just now, he almost couldn't help but rush out. There were so many beasts running around in a frenzy. He wished he could kill all of them. At this moment, he understood why there was nobody outside the city and everyone was in the city. The endless ruins of divinity was so strange that one could not wander around in the wild at night. The beasts outside were clearly more aggressive. Their abilities must have been improved as well. If it were just the beasts outside, it would be fine. But once Li lost his mind and ran around, he would attract more powerful beasts. In addition, if Li lost his mind, he would go on killing tirelessly. In the end, he would die of exhaustion or be devoured by the beasts. Li had a steady mind. After spending so many years in the den of ice devils with Tian Yazi, his mind had been steadied. He suppressed all kinds of emotions in his mind and made himself as still as a mountain. Time moved on. The blood moons were moving forward. They were about to reach the sky when Blood Emperor said, "Punk, my old friend said that when the blood moons are in the sky, the demonic energy will reach the most horrifying state. You must be prepared." Sure, Li could feel it as well. The light from the 12 blood moons was getting brighter and brighter. The invisible magic energy was getting stronger. The blood that he had been suppressing was surging again. The hostility in his body was getting stronger. His eyes turned red. He couldn't control himself anymore. Li closed his eyes and forced himself to enter the dreamland. He clenched his teeth, relying on the clarity in his mind and his strong willpower. This is good. After waiting for a while, the blood evil sovereign transmitted a message to Jiang Chun. Although the divine pattern set up by your charm spirit has weakened its influence, your willpower is really strong. Now that the most horrifying moment of the blood moons is over, it will be easier. Li clearly felt his blood was surging slower. He took a deep breath. The endless ruins of divinity was so strange. How did the people here survive when they didn't have a city and didn't have divine runes that could weaken the influence of the blood moon? Soon, the night passed. When the blood moon set, Li opened his eyes. Blood Emperor said, "Punk, what you need to do now is learn the ancient language. I know a little. I can understand some simple languages. You should sneak into the city to understand the situation first. If you want to do something, you should at least investigate the situation first, right?" The blood evil emperor was right. Li gradually calmed down. The blood evil emperor transmitted some information to him. With his comprehension ability, He learned very quickly. It was just that some pronunciation problems were a bit troublesome. He studied in seclusion in the underground cave. The day passed quickly, and the 12 blood moons rose into the sky again. Although Blood Fairy had set up 3 more divine glyphs, they didn't do much to weaken the blood moons. Fortunately, Luli stayed up for one night and managed to gain some EXP. The second night was also a difficult one. With the Blood Evil King around, it would be hard for Luli to do anything. After 3 days, Luli had mastered some of the ancient language. He could understand some simple words, but it would be difficult for him to speak them accurately. He had to communicate and learn more before he could fully understand the language. On the 4th day, Luli walked out of the cave and rushed toward the nearest city. In 4 hours, he arrived at the city. There were guards at the gate. Luli forced himself to go over. ID token. A guard looked at Luli coldly and said 4 words. Luli could barely understand. His heart skipped a beat. How could he have an ID token? An idea came to Luli. Instead of explaining, Luli began to dance in sign language. He pointed to his head, the blood on his body, and the mountain in the distance. He looked like a mentally retarded child. If you don't have a token, then hand over the divine stones. 1 billion divine stones. Do you have any? If not, piss off. The guard shouted impatiently. Luli did not understand. At that moment, the Blood Evil King said, I think he is asking you for divine stones. Divine stones? That's easy. Luli was delighted. But he did not take out the divine stones at once. Instead, he continued to dance like a mentally retarded child. Only when the guards grew impatient did Luli take out a large pile of divine stones from his interspatial ring. There were several billion divine stones, and he scattered them on the ground. As soon as he threw out the divine stones, Luli walked into the city like a fool. The guards' eyes glowed. Luli did not just give out 1 billion divine stones. The extra was theirs. Luli snuck into the city easily. After several turns, he entered a tavern and booked a room. Then, he changed his clothes and left the tavern. He went to the second tavern and booked a room. He did not leave in a hurry. Instead, he sat in the tavern with his legs crossed and listened to the voices around him. He activated the trace of Tao. Everything around him appeared in his mind automatically. The voices of the hundreds nearby rang in his mind. He felt hundreds of flies were buzzing around him. He did not understand many of the words. He had only learned a little bit of the common language. He did not understand many of the words. He was not in a hurry. He planned to stay here for half a month. Half a month should be enough for him to observe and learn. The city was crowded with people and carriages. There are not only humans, but also other races. Many beasts were still hovering in the sky. But people in the city turned a blind eye to them, as if this was a common sight. So people flew up and rode away on beasts. Some beasts arrived above the city, and some people flew down. In addition to taverns and taverns, there were many castles and manors in the city with guards at the gates. This city could be considered a large city, and there were many experts here. Fifth Tribulation experts could be seen everywhere, and one could occasionally find a few Overlord experts. Luli sat in the tavern for a day. Soon it was night, but people in the city were not panicking. The streets were still lively. When the blood moon rose, a blue shield suddenly appeared above the city. The shield is so strong. Luli tried to sense it. He was not affected at all in the city. His blood was not surging. It seemed that after so many years in the endless ruins of divinity, people had studied the blood moon to some extent and had mastered protection methods. Well, apart from having more powerful warriors, the endless ruins of divinity is not much different from the third plane. Luli nodded. The living habits here, the way of dressing here, the way of cultivation here, and so on are all similar. Apart from the language, there wasn't much difference. I will learn the language for half a month and find out the situation of this world. Then, I will make a plan. Chapter 2653. For half a month, Luli didn't step out of the tavern. He had been staying in the tavern, keeping a low profile. During this time, not only could he understand all the languages, but he could also speak them. Even though his words were not perfect, He could communicate. Luli called the young man from the tavern over and threw him 2 interspatial rings containing 1 million and 10 million respectively. Luli gave 1 million divine stones interspatial ring to the waiter and said with a smile, "I want to ask you some questions. If you can answer me, the 10 million divine stones are all yours." "Lord, go ahead. I will tell you everything." The waiter was only at the initial stage of the 4th tribulation. Luli sensed that he was only at the peak of the 4th tribulation as well. Still, the waiter treated Luli politely. Luli didn't ask some stupid questions, like how many continents there were in the endless ruins of gods. Instead, he asked, "Is there anything significant happening around here?" "Significant?" The waiter pondered for a moment and said, "Recently, our Tianyang dynasty has been very peaceful. The only major event seems to be a month ago. The 3rd prince broke through to the 6th tribulation realm and got engaged to the 6th princess of Flying Rainbow Dynasty." Tianyang Dynasty? Flying Rainbow Dynasty? Luli remembered the 2 dynasties. He thought about it and said, "Right, go and give me a copy of the latest map, the most detailed one." "I have the latest map here." "Lord, I can give it to you directly." The waiter took out a copy of the map and handed it to Luli with respect. Luli took it in his hand and put it away. He didn't show any emotion on his face, but inside, he was shocked. This was because he casually glanced at the map and realized that it was densely packed with dynasties. There were at least tens of thousands of them, and they were all dynasties. Also, the dynasties were not large. Luli looked at the map. Apart from a dozen dynasties that were relatively larger, the others were about the same size. Is it because the dynasties are small or the endless ruins of gods is too vast? Luli thought about it. After a while, he put these thoughts aside and began to chat with the waiter. Luli's questions were all over the place, but he was smart enough to ask them in a roundabout way. He didn't ask any direct questions. He learned about the situation from the waiter's introduction. After a while, the waiter was confused. He didn't know what Luli wanted to know. Luli had learned a lot about the situation. He handed the space ring to the waiter and let him leave. Luli left the tavern and wandered around the city for a bit. Then he went to another tavern. First, he spent an hour looking at the map. Then, he found a waiter and asked other questions. This time, it was much easier for him to ask questions. This was because he had some basic understanding of the endless divine ruins. This way, he would not have to worry about revealing that he was not from here. After more than 2 hours, Luli went from tavern to tavern with satisfaction. He would ask a waiter at each tavern. At the 5th inn, he asked 5 waiters and spent about 100 million godstones. Basically, he got all the information he needed. It wasn't that those empires were small, but that the endless ruins of gods were huge, so huge that it was boundless. There were tens of thousands of dynasties here, and each dynasty represented a super great sect. In other words, there were tens of thousands of great sects in this world. The sects here were all powerful. Many of them had powerful Saint King Rel warriors. This place was chaotic as well. Big sects would often be destroyed and dynasties would change. That being said, there were 18 dynasties that had been in existence for 1,000,000 years. Those 18 sects were the most powerful ones in the endless ruins of gods. They were ancient sections. Nobody dared to provoke them. The Holy Lady sect was one of them. The Holy Lady sect had been in existence for 3 million years. In the early years, it was almost destroyed many times. However, after a super powerful star appeared, the Holy Lady sect became stronger. The more she fought, the braver and stronger she became. In the end, she became the second most powerful warrior in the endless ruins of gods and laid the foundation for the Holy Lady sect. More powerful warriors came from the Holy Lady sect. Gradually, the Holy Lady sect became one of the most powerful forces in the endless ruins of gods. Many sects in the endless ruins of gods dared not to provoke them. From what Luli could gather, it was highly possible that Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong had been taken away by the Holy Lady sect. This was not the first time they had done this. They did it often. Some of them would wander around the endless ruins of gods. They would try to take any talented girl into the Holy Lady sect. If the girl was not willing, they would take her away by force. Apart from the other 17 sects, the Holy Lady sect would even take young ladies from major families as apprentices. If they liked them, they would take them away by force. But they would not take them away to be prisoners or slaves. They would really take them as apprentices. The Holy Lady sect would spend a lot of resources to train them. The Holy Lady sect was divided into the inner core and the outer core. The outer core disciples could marry and reproduce freely, but the inner core disciples could not marry. They would be lonely for the rest of their lives. Therefore, the reserved disciples of the Holy Lady sect had always been an important matter. The Holy Lady sect was not a family organization, and they never liked families. They had to find good young ones in the endless ruins of gods to train. The inner core disciples could not marry, and they had to devote their lives to the Holy Lady sect. This was hard for many girls to accept. If it were not for the fact that they had been hurt by love, how could they endure the loneliness for the rest of their lives? Who didn't want to have a beautiful love? Who didn't want to have children? Therefore, even though the Holy Lady sect was strong, many girls were not willing to join the Holy Lady sect, especially the top young ladies. The talented ones were usually young ladies of major families. After all, dragons gave birth to dragons, and phoenixes gave birth to phoenixes. The offspring of powerful warriors would have better talents. Luli remembered that those people were wearing robes with crescent marks, which was the symbol of the Holy Lady sect. Therefore, there was an 80% chance that Ling Long and Lu Ling would be taken away by the Holy Lady sect. Also, the Holy Lady sect was not far away. They were only separated by a dynasty. What to do? Lu Ling sat in the tavern by herself, worried. She did not know what to do. The Holy Lady sect was too powerful. Even if the blood evil emperor were to come back to life, he would not be qualified to challenge the Holy Lady sect, let alone Lu Ling. I have a suggestion, the blood evil emperor suddenly said. Luli asked at once, Sir, please, go and join the Heaven Emperor sect. The blood evil emperor explained, the Heaven Emperor sect is the most powerful here. Only the Heaven Emperor sect can suppress the Holy Lady sect. Only when you succeed in the Heaven Emperor sect can you talk to the Holy Lady sect on an equal footing. Given their characters, I think they will refuse to join the inner sect. In that case, you will have the chance to marry them. Marry them. This is the only way for you to save them. Marry them? Luli was surprised. Marrying Ling Long was not a big deal. But what about Lu Ling? That was his sister. Yes, the blood evil emperor said with certainty, join the Heaven Emperor sect and make a name for yourself as soon as possible. Then marry them and find a way back. Go back as soon as you marry them. Everything will be fine. P.S. This month's update time is not fixed, but there will be many chapters. You can read it every morning. There will be 3 chapters. Next month, there will be an update at a fixed time. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.